Section 1 of The Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Preface and General Directions. Preface. The following pages naturally contain only a brief selection from the thousands of sweets which exist. They have been chosen with an eye to dainty quality and to simplicity, and every recipe has been tested. 3 words concerning sweets. French white fireproof dishes are better for baking puddings than the ordinary English culinary utensils. Small cups or glasses are more charming receptacles for jellies, creams, and custards than large dishes. And the magic properties of salt, even in the preparation of sweets, cannot be too much insisted upon, the deprecatory English cook to the contrary. General directions. Measuring. Flour, sugar, salt, ground spices should always be sifted before measuring. A cup is a breakfast cup holding half a pint. The spoons are the silver ones in general use. A spoonful of dry material is one in which the convexity at the top corresponds to the concavity of the spoon. A scant spoonful should be made level with the edges of the spoon. In measuring half a teaspoon of dry material, fill it first and then divide it with a knife the length of the spoon. It is necessary to remember in measuring half or quarter cups that a cup is smaller at the bottom than the top. It is most satisfactory to have half-pint measures which are marked into quarters. Table of measures. 4 cups flour equals 1 quart or 1 pound. 2 cups of butter, solid, equals 1 pound. 2½ cups powdered sugar equals 1 pound. 1 cup equals half pint. 1 glass equals half pint. 1 pint milk or water equals 1 pound. 9 large eggs equals 1 pound. 1 tablespoon butter equals 1 ounce. 1 heaping tablespoon butter equals 2 ounces. Butter the size of an egg equals 2 ounces. To clean currants. Sprinkle the currants with flour, put them on a coarse sieve, and rub them until the stems and grit are separated and go through the sieve. Then wash thoroughly in water, changing it until clear. Drain on a towel and pick over. Dry, if the weather permits, in the sun, not in an oven. To stone raisins. Pour boiling water over the raisins and let them stand in it for 10 minutes. Drain and rub each raisin between finger and thumb till the seeds come out. Cut open or chop. Sultanas. Pick over sultanas carefully, removing the little stems. To chop suet. Sprinkle the suet with flour. Chop in a cold place, removing all membrane carefully. To boil puddings. Pour the pudding mixture into a well-buttered basin, leaving room for it to swell or rise. Take a perfectly clean cloth, dip it in boiling water, and flour plentifully inside where it covers the pudding. Tie it up tightly round the basin. Stand in boiling water. Do not let the water stop boiling for an instant until the pudding is done. If it boils away, renew with fresh boiling water. To steam puddings. Cover the basin, which should be buttered, with buttered paper. Set in a covered steamer over boiling water. Keep the water boiling hard. Bain-marie. Bain-maries can be bought, but a saucepan placed upon a trivet in a larger saucepan containing hot water does equally well. Gelatine. Gelatine should always be soaked in cold water for 1 or 2 hours before using. Then it should be dissolved in a very little hot water unless otherwise specified, and strained. The greatest care must be taken in adding liquid gelatine to a cold mixture, as it so quickly solidifies. Strain it first, and then very gradually add it to the mixture, beating hard all the time. To whip cream. Whip cream in as cold a place as possible. It will whip easiest if it has been kept on ice for 2 or 3 hours. While whipping, remove the froth as it comes on to a sieve to drain. The liquid cream which drains off can be returned to the basin and whipped again. Sugar can be added before or after whipping. The cream will be lighter if the sugar is whipped with it. To melt chocolate. Put the chocolate in a saucepan on the oven when the heat is very moderate. Watch that it does not burn. Meringue for puddings. To make a meringue to cover a pudding, beat several whites of egg until frothy but not stiff. Then add the sugar gradually in the proportion of 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar to each white. Beat till stiff. Spread over the pudding when it is cool. Put in a moderate oven and take out as soon as the meringue has risen and is delicately browned. Serve quickly. To blanch almonds. Put the almonds into boiling water and let them soak in it until the skins rub off easily between the finger and thumb. Drain and spread out to dry. To pound almonds. After blanching, let them soak for an hour in cold water, then pound in a good-sized mortar until reduced to a soft pulp. Whilst pounding, add a few drops of orange flower water or lemon juice. Mixing. There are 3 ways of mixing: stirring, beating, cutting, or folding. To stir. Let the spoon touch the bottom and sides of the basin and move it round quickly in circles of various sizes. Do not lift it out of the mixture and work well against the sides. To beat. Tip the bowl to one side. Bring the spoon or fork quickly down into the mixture and through it. Take it out the other side and bring it over and down again, scraping the sides well each time it goes in. It is important to keep the bowl of the spoon well scraped out during mixing. To cut or fold. Turn over the mixture with a spoon, lift it up, folding in the white of egg as lightly as possible. Do not stir or beat, but mix very gently until quite blended. To beat butter. Butter which is to be beaten should not be melted, but it can be softened by being kept for a while in a warm place. To all sweets, with a few exceptions such as jellies, creams, and fruit dishes, salt should be added. It must be used carefully since the quantity required will necessarily vary. Salt is of the highest importance in bringing out the full flavor of the ingredients used. It can be added to flour or milk, or when the whites of eggs are used, it will serve a double purpose if added to them, as it makes them much easier to beat up. End of Section 1. Read by Robin Michele. December 2nd, 2022.
Section 2 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Milk puddings. Apple tapioca pudding. 1 teacup tapioca, 1½ pints warm water, 6 apples, 1 lemon, 1 teaspoon butter, 1 cup milk, 1 cup powdered sugar. Soak the tapioca in the water. Add to it the butter, melted, a little salt, half the sugar and the milk. Peel and core 6 sour apples, filling them with the rest of the sugar, with which the juice of half a lemon and the grated peel of a whole lemon have been mixed. Put the apples into a deep pudding dish. Pour the tapioca and milk round them. Bake an hour. This pudding may be made with plums, gooseberries, or currants. They should be well sweetened. Bread and butter pudding. Bread, butter, sultanas, powdered cinnamon, 3 eggs, 1 pint milk, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar. Cut a number of slices of bread, taking off the crusts and spreading them with butter. Butter a pudding dish and fill it 3 parts full with the slices of bread and butter, sprinkling a little powdered cinnamon and a few sultanas between each layer. Beat the sugar and eggs together. Add the milk and flavoring. Strain. Pour slowly on the bread, letting it absorb all it can. Bake in a moderate oven for an hour. A good variation of this pudding is made by spreading each layer of bread and butter with jam. Bread pudding. 1½ cups powdered sugar, 2 cups breadcrumbs, 1 quart milk, 5 eggs, 1 tablespoon butter, vanilla. Put the breadcrumbs, which should be very fine, to soak in the milk. Mix the butter and 1 cup of sugar. Add the beaten yolks and beat well together. Add breadcrumbs and milk and a little vanilla. Butter a pudding dish and fill it not more than 2/3 full. Bake in a moderate oven until set. Spread quickly with jelly or jam and cover with the whites beaten to a froth and mixed with 1/2 cup of sugar. Put back in the oven to brown quickly. Serve cold with cream. This pudding can be made with crushed and sweetened fresh strawberries instead of jam. Gâteau de riz. 5 tablespoons rice, 1/2 cup powdered sugar, 1 quart milk, 6 eggs, lemon peel, 1 bay leaf. Boil the rice and sugar in the milk with a thin strip of lemon peel and the bay leaf very gently until all the milk is absorbed. When cold, add 4 whole eggs and 2 extra yolks previously well beaten and 2 whites beaten to a stiff froth. Beat all well together. Butter a mold and sprinkle very fine breadcrumbs all over it. Pour in the rice and bake for 1/2 hour in a quick oven. A small cup of strong coffee can be added while the rice is being cooked, or a handful of candied cherries after the eggs have been added. Rice cream. 1 teacup rice, 1½ pints milk or 1 pint milk, and 1/2 pint cream. 1/2 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Boil the rice in the milk with a very little salt until it is soft and thick and all the milk is absorbed. Add the sugar when partly cooked and stir in the vanilla when the rice is done. Pour into small molds or cups. Leave till the following day. Serve cold with custard, cream, or cold fruit sauce. Plain rice pudding. 1/2 cup rice, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 1 quart milk, a little salt. Let the rice soak for 1/2 hour in the milk. Add the sugar. Bake over 2 hours in a moderate oven. Rice pudding with apples or raisins. 3 tablespoons rice, 1 quart milk, 3 tablespoons brown sugar, salt, 3 sour apples, or 1 cup raisins or sultanas. Soak the rice in the milk for an hour. Add a little salt, the sugar, the apples pared and cut into eighths, or the stoned raisins or sultanas. Butter a deep pudding dish and fill it, covering it with a plate. Bake very slowly for 4 hours. Rice soufflé. 1/2 cup rice, 1 pint milk, 6 eggs, 6 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon butter, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Cook the rice for 20 minutes in a large saucepan of salted boiling water. Drain it and cook it in the milk in a double boiler for 10 minutes. Beat the yolks until light and creamy. Add the sugar and softened butter. Stir the eggs, etc. into the rice and cook for 5 minutes, but do not allow it to boil. Let it get cold. Beat well together, add the vanilla, and lightly stir in the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Bake in a buttered mold for 1/2 hour. Serve with sauce. Tapioca pudding 1. 5 tablespoons tapioca, 1 quart milk, 1 tablespoon butter, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 3 eggs. Soak the tapioca overnight, or if this has not been done, let it simmer for 1/2 hour in water. Drain and add the milk, sugar, melted butter, and a little salt. Butter a dish and bake in a moderate oven for an hour. 3 eggs and a little vanilla can be added. They should be thoroughly well beaten and stirred into the milk. Tapioca pudding 2. 1 breakfast cup tapioca, 5 eggs, 1 quart milk, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Cover the tapioca with water and soak all night. Then boil it till tender. Make a custard, see page 15, of the 5 yolks, sugar and milk. Drain the tapioca. Put it into a large basin, adding a very little salt. Pour the custard over it and beat well together, adding the vanilla. Whip the whites to a firm froth. Stir them lightly in. Butter a pudding dish and pour in the mixture. Set it in a pan of boiling water in a very moderate oven. Cover it with a dish. Bake until the custard becomes thick and a little set. It must not be as firm as a baked custard. Brown with a salamander or set it in a hot oven for a few minutes. End of section 2.
Section 3 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Boiled Custards. General directions. In making custards, it is of the utmost importance that they should not be allowed to boil. They are best made in a porcelain double boiler or in a bain-marie, see page 15. Cooked white of egg may be added as a garnish to any custard. To prepare it, beat the whites to a stiff froth, and either put it on a sieve and steam it, or drop a tablespoonful at a time into boiling milk, removing it with a skimmer as soon as firm. Whipped cream or ratafias may also be used. Plain custard. 1 pint milk, 3 or 4 yolks of egg, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Beat the yolks in a good-sized basin until light and creamy. Add the sugar and a very little salt. Scald the milk and pour it gradually over the yolks, stirring constantly whilst doing so. Pour the custard back into a double boiler, in the outer part of which is very hot water. Stir continually until the custard thickens. When it is thick enough, it will coat the spoon. It must not boil, or the custard will curdle. Strain at once into a jug. Add the flavoring when cool. Caramel custard. Melt 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar in a saucepan and stir it over a quick fire until it is a rich brown, being very careful that it does not burn. Pour this into a basin and beat it well with 3 or 4 yolks of eggs. Proceed as for a plain custard, see above. Chestnut custard. 1 pound chestnuts, 4 eggs, 4 ounces powdered sugar, 1 pint milk or cream, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Boil, peel, and pound the chestnuts. Add the well-beaten yolks and a little salt and sugar. Beat well together. Add the milk or cream. Beat the whites to a stiff froth and add them gradually, stirring continually. When mixed well, pour into a double boiler and stir until the custard thickens. Add the vanilla when the custard is cool. Chocolate custard. Add to 1 pint of milk 3 tablespoons of grated chocolate. Boil until the chocolate is melted. Proceed as for plain custard, see page 15. When cold, stir in a gill of rich cream. Serve very cold. Coffee custard. 2 pints of plain custard, see page 15. Add a coffee cup of strong good coffee and an extra tablespoon of powdered sugar. Omit the vanilla. Tapioca custard. 2 tablespoons of tapioca, 1 pint milk, 2 eggs, 1/3 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Soak the tapioca for 2 hours in hot water in a double boiler. Drain. Put back and add the milk. Cook until tender and clear. Carefully mix with the tapioca the 2 yolks beaten well, the sugar, and a little salt. Cook until the custard thickens. Take off the fire and stir in the whites beaten to a stiff froth. When cool, add the vanilla. Serve very cold. End of section 3.
Section 4 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Baked Custards. General directions. The milk for baked custards should always be boiled. It is of the greatest importance in baking custards to have a slow oven. It's a good thing to leave the oven door a little open for a short time. It is best, although not necessary, to stand the dish of custard in another containing hot water. The water should simmer. Custards can also be cooked by placing them in a large saucepan containing hot water, which should reach halfway up the mold or cups used. The water should be brought to a boil. Then the saucepan should be set back where it will simmer gently, and it should be covered. This method takes about an hour. It is best to let the custard stay in the water until it is cold. Baked custard, plain. 6 yolks, 2 whites, 6 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 quart milk. Scald the milk. Beat the yolks and 2 whites together until light and creamy. Add the sugar to them and a little salt. Beat again. Pour the scalded milk over them slowly, stirring all the time. Strain into a buttered pudding dish or into small cups. Sprinkle with nutmeg. Bake in a slow oven for 40 minutes. Caramel custard. 1/2 cup sugar, 1 quart milk, 8 yolks, 2 whites, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Melt the sugar with very little water in an iron saucepan. Stir it over a quick fire until it is a rich brown, being very careful that it does not burn. Beat the yolks and whites till light. Scald the milk. Add the sugar to it and pour slowly on the eggs, stirring continuously. Add vanilla and a little salt. Strain into dish. Set the dish containing custard inside another vessel in which there is hot water and bake in a very slow oven for an hour. The custard is best the day after it is made. It should be set but creamy and not as stiff as the ordinary plain baked custard. Chocolate custard. 1 quart milk, 6 yolks, 1 cup powdered sugar, 3 ounces grated chocolate, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Add the chocolate to the milk and boil until it is thoroughly dissolved. Beat the yolks thoroughly. Add the sugar to them and beat again. Pour the boiling milk and chocolate over the yolks and sugar, stirring continually. Add the vanilla and strain into a pudding dish. Bake in a very slow oven for 45 minutes to an hour. Serve very cold. Coconut custard. 1/2 pound grated fresh coconut. 1/4 pound powdered sugar. 1 tablespoon rose water. Milk. 1/2 pint cream, 1/2 teaspoon powdered cinnamon, 2 yolks, 4 whites. If there is not 1/2 pint of coconut milk, add it to cold milk until there is that amount. Into this, stir the sugar and rose water. Stir in the cream and well-beaten yolks. Beat the whites to a very stiff froth and add them alternately with the grated coconut and cinnamon. Bake in cups set in hot water in a moderate oven. Coffee custard. Make as for chocolate custard, flavoring with a coffee cup of good strong coffee instead of chocolate and adding another yolk. Creme brulee. 1 pint cream, 4 yolks. Scald the cream. Pour it slowly over the well-beaten yolks. Put the cream in a double boiler and stir until it thickens, but do not let it boil. Pour into a shallow dish. When it is cold, sift powdered sugar thickly over it. Set in a very slow oven for a quarter of an hour. Take it out. Brown the sugar with a salamander. Serve cold. Creme renversée. 1 3/4 pints milk, 6 yolks, 3 whites, 6 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Beat the yolks and whites together. Add the sugar. Beat again. Pour the scalded milk gently over the eggs, stirring continually. Add the vanilla and a little salt. Melt 1/4 pound of sugar in an iron saucepan. Stir it over a quick fire until it is rich brown. Plunge a mold into the boiling water and drain it quickly. Pour part of the prepared sugar into it at once, coating the sides evenly with it. Strain the custard immediately into the mold. Cover with a plate and set it in a pan of boiling water in a moderate oven. Bake until quite firm. This can be tested with a knife, which should come out clean if the custard is done. When the custard is cold, turn it carefully out of the mold and pour around it the rest of the syrup, with which a little hot water should have been mixed. Lemon custard: 6 eggs, 2 lemons, ½ pound powdered sugar, 1 wineglass brandy, 1 stale sponge cake, 1 pint milk or cream, 2 ounces butter. Into a basin put the yolks of the eggs. Beat them well. Add 3 whites, the rinds of the lemons grated fine, and the juice of 1 lemon. Beat well again. Add the sugar, brandy, and sponge cake finely crushed. Beat all together thoroughly. Add the cream and the butter, previously softened but not melted. Bake in small molds in a quick oven for half an hour. End of section 4.
Section 5 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Fruit dishes. Baked apples. 1. Peel and core several good cooking apples. Butter on both sides as many small slices of bread as you have apples. Fill the center of each apple with butter. Sprinkle thickly with sugar. Bake in a moderate oven 3/4 of an hour. Baste 5 or 6 times with the juice and butter, adding more butter if necessary. Serve hot, having filled the center of each apple with jelly. Baked apples. 2. Peel and core several good cooking apples and fill the hollow centers with lemon sugar. See page 164. Put a little water in the bottom of a shallow tin. Set the apples in it, close together. Bake in a quick oven, basting often with the syrup formed by the water and sugar. Baked bananas. Skin several bananas and cut them lengthwise in half. Place on a tin, sprinkle well with sugar, and put several small lumps of butter on them. Bake 20 minutes in a moderate oven, basting occasionally and adding very little hot water if there is not sufficient juice with which to baste. Flaming peaches. Peel several peaches, which should not be too ripe. Let them simmer for 5 minutes in sweetened boiling water. Take them out and drain them. Sprinkle with sugar. Pour sufficient lighted Kirschwasser over the peaches. The peaches must be kept very hot. Grated pineapple. Grate some pineapple coarsely. To each pound of fruit, add 1 pound of sugar. Put into a large jar and stir occasionally. After 24 hours, put into glass jars and cover. This will keep for months. Miroton. 4 pears, 1 tablespoon flour, 1 tablespoon butter, 1 wineglass white wine. Powdered sugar. Pare and core the pears. Cut into quarters. Let them simmer for half an hour in a little water and sugar. Melt the butter in a saucepan. Add the flour. Work till perfectly smooth. Add the wine, and when hot, the pears and juice. Simmer again for half an hour. Lay the pears on rounds of fried bread. Strain the juice over them and serve hot. Rum tutti frutti. Put 1 quart of rum and 3 pounds powdered sugar in a large jar which has an airtight cover or cork. Leave for a week. Stir well. Put into the jar 3 pounds of strawberries and 3 pounds more sugar. Stir occasionally. After another week, add 3 pounds raspberries and 3 pounds sugar. Stir every day. Again, after an interval, add apricots, peaches, plums, etc., always with an equal quantity of sugar. The jar must be kept airtight and should be kept in a cool, dry place. When it is full, put it away for several weeks. Then mix thoroughly and serve with whipped cream. Stewed fruit. Fruit should be stewed in plenty of well-sweetened water until tender, care being taken to keep it whole. When tender, remove the fruit from the saucepan, place it in the dish in which it is to be served. To the juice add a little thin lemon peel, a few drops of lemon juice, more sugar if required, and, if liked, a glass of white wine. Set again on a quick fire and reduce until thick. Strain this over the fruit and serve when cold. Stewed apples. Peel and take out the core of several sound, good cooking apples, putting each, when finished, in water into which the juice of a lemon has been squeezed. When they are all prepared, arrange them in a saucepan, covering them with water and adding sugar to sweeten thoroughly. Cook quickly for about 20 minutes, taking care to keep them whole. Lift out the apples, place them on a glass dish. Add a little lemon juice to the apple juice, more sugar if necessary, a few drops of cochineal, and, if possible, the rind of a pineapple. Boil quickly until considerably reduced and quite thick. Pour over the apples. Decorate each apple with a little red currant jelly. Stewed figs. 1 pound dried figs, 1 pint water, 4 ounces powdered sugar, 1 lemon, 1 wineglass sherry. Put the figs, water, sugar, and finely pared lemon peel into an enamelled saucepan. Stew gently until very tender. This will take from 2 to 3 hours. Take out the figs and place them in a dish. Stir into the juice, the sherry, and juice of a lemon. Strain over the fruit and serve cold. Stewed peaches. 6 peaches, 5 ounces powdered sugar, 1/2 pint cold water, 1 tablespoon kirsch. Throw the peaches into boiling water to blanch. Take out and peel. Cut into quarters, removing the stones. Put into cold water. Add the sugar. Boil for 5 minutes, being careful not to break the fruit. Set the fruit in a dish. Add the kirsch to the juice. Strain onto the fruit. Stewed pears. 1. Pare, core, and cut in half a number of good, large cooking pears, and put them into cold water in which there is the juice of a lemon. Prick them in several places. Make a syrup in the proportion of 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water. Boil up and skim. When cool, pour it into an earthenware jar. Put the pears into the syrup. Add 2 cloves. Cover the jar tightly. Set in a very slow oven and leave for 5 or 6 hours. This is the best way of cooking pears, but it is essential that the oven should be slow all the time. Stewed pears. 2. 6 pears, 1/4 pound sugar, 1 wineglass red wine, 2 cloves, rind of a lemon, thinly pared. Pare and cut the pears in half. Take out the cores. Put in a saucepan. Cover with water. Add the sugar, wine, cloves, and lemon rind. Simmer as slowly as possible. Arrange in a dish. Add a few drops of cochineal to the juice. Strain it over the pears. Stewed pears, white. Old French receipt. Put several unpeeled pears into boiling water. Cook for several minutes. Take out and throw into cold water. Peel when cold and divide in 2. Put back into fresh cold water. To a gill of water, add sufficient sugar to make a sweet syrup. Boil and skim. When clear, add the pears and a slice of lemon. Simmer until tender. Remove the lemon and serve cold. Stewed prunes. 1 pound prunes, 1 pint water, 1/2 pound sugar, 1 lemon. Peel the lemon very finely. Put the peel, water, sugar, and prunes in a stew pan. Simmer gently until very tender. Put the prunes in a glass dish. Add the juice of the lemon to the syrup. Reduce it until thick. Strain over the prunes. This is best prepared the day before it is required. Strawberries and cream. Pick over a number of fine strawberries. Put a layer of them in a glass dish. Sprinkle sugar over them. Add 1 or 2 more layers and sprinkle each with sugar. Set aside for about an hour. Whip half a pint of cream with the white of 2 eggs and 2 ounces powdered sugar until very frothy. Let it stand a few minutes. Remove all the froth to a sieve to drain, and whip up the liquid cream remaining. When that is frothy, drain it on a sieve as before. Keep the cream in a cold place till it is required, piling it on the strawberries when ready to serve. Fruit salad. Take tinned or fresh pineapple. peaches, apricots, and fresh strawberries, cherries, bananas, oranges, according to season. Cut the large fruit into small pieces, put all into a large bowl, make a syrup of sugar and water, see page 151, or, if tinned pears and pineapples have been used, of their juice and sugar. Pour it over the fruit while warm. Let it stand a little while. Place it on the dish in which it is to be served. Decorate with grapes or crystallized sugar. Orange salad. Peel a number of oranges, scraping off all the white inner skin with a sharp knife. Cut across in slices, removing all the core and seeds. Put a layer of orange in a dish. Sprinkle thickly with sugar and a little rum. Add 2 or 3 more layers of orange and sugar. Serve at once, as the orange quickly becomes bitter. Orange and coconut salad. Peel 6 oranges, scrape off the inner white skin carefully. Slice them, removing the core and seeds. Grate half a coconut. Put alternate layers of orange and coconut in a dish. The top layer should be coconut. Sprinkle each layer with sugar. Serve as soon as possible after making. Pineapple salad. 1 pineapple. 1/2 pint syrup. 1 tablespoon curaçao. Peel the pineapple and grate it. Mix the curaçao with the syrup. See page 151. Pour over the fruit. End of section 5. Read by Sandra. Near Montreal, 2022.
Section 6 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Pancakes. General directions. To fry pancakes, melt a piece of fresh butter in a small frying pan. When it is very hot, pour in a sufficient batter to cover the frying pan with a thin layer. Fry over a clear fire, shaking the pan constantly. Loosen the edges of the pancake, when set, with a knife. Give a good shake and toss, bringing the pancake down on the other side. As each is done, put it on a very hot plate in the oven and continue frying the others as quickly as possible. Pancakes 1. French receipt. 4 eggs, 1/2 pound sifted flour, 1 pint milk, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1 tablespoon brandy, rum, absinthe, or kirsch, salt. Beat the eggs, add the milk, flour, etc., mixing well together until perfectly smooth. Set aside for 3 hours. When ready to fry, add to the batter 1 white of egg, beaten to a stiff froth. Fry in butter. Pancakes 2. American. 5 tablespoons flour, 7 eggs, 1 pint cream or milk. Sift the flour with a teaspoon of salt. Mix it smoothly with the cream. Beat up the yolks and add them, mixing thoroughly. Beat 4 whites to a stiff froth and stir them lightly in. Fry in very hot butter. Serve with sugar and cinnamon or lemon. Pancakes with jam. 1/2 pound flour, 1 tablespoon sugar, 1/4 pound melted butter, 5 eggs, 1 1/4 pints milk. First, mix the sugar, flour, and unbeaten eggs. Add the butter, milk, and a little salt. Fry in butter in a small frying pan, 2 tablespoons at a time. As soon as a pancake is done on one side, lay it on a dish and spread it with apricot or strawberry jam. Cover it with another, and so on. Sprinkle the top pancake with sugar and glaze with a salamander. Serve very hot. French pancakes. 2 eggs, 2 ounces powdered sugar, 2 ounces flour, 2 ounces butter, half pint milk. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the well-beaten eggs and beat together. Stir in the sugar, flour, and lastly, the milk, beating all the time. Bake in 6 well-buttered saucers in a quick oven about 20 minutes. Fold each pancake over. Sprinkle with powdered sugar and serve with lemon. Rice pancakes. 1/4 pound rice. 1/2 pint cream or milk. 1 tablespoon powdered sugar. 4 eggs. 2 ounces butter. Flour. Boil the rice in water until very tender. Pound it and put it through a sieve. When cold, add the cream or milk, sugar, well-beaten eggs, and butter, which should be warmed and creamed. Add flour if necessary to make a fairly stiff batter. Fry in butter. End of section 6. Recording by Beau Wood.
Section 7 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by T.R. Love. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Fritters. General directions. Fritters are crisper if fried in clarified fat than in lard. In making fruit fritters, dip each piece of fruit into batter. See that it is well covered. Drop fritters, a few at a time, into smoking hot fat, being careful that they do not touch each other. Fry a rich yellow. Take out with a skimmer and set in the oven for a few minutes on soft paper to drain. Sift sugar over the fritters and serve with a wine or fruit sauce. Batter for fritters. 1. French receipt. 2 eggs, 1/2 pound flour, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1 tablespoon brandy, 1/2 cup water, milk, or beer. Mix the flour and water, milk, or beer perfectly smooth. Add the well-beaten yolks, the oil and brandy, which is optional, and a little salt. Mix well and set aside for 2 or 3 hours. When the batter is wanted, beat the whites until stiff and dry and add them. Batter for fritters. 2. 9 ounces flour, 1 tablespoon powdered sugar, 4 eggs, 8 tablespoons butter melted, 1/2 cup white wine, 2 tablespoons brandy. Mix the flour, sugar, and well-beaten yolks together. Beat until smooth, adding a little salt. Stir in the melted butter, white wine, and brandy, and just before using, the whites, beaten until they are stiff and dry. Fruit fritters. Fritters may be made of apples, bananas, oranges, apricots, pineapple, peaches, etc. The fruit should be ripe and perfect. Cut apples across in slices about 1/3 of an inch thick. Take out the core from the center of each piece. Cut each slice of pineapple into 4 pieces. Slice bananas lengthwise, cutting each slice in half if too long. Cut peaches and apricots in quarters. All fruit for fritters is best soaked for a couple of hours in well-sweetened brandy, rum, or kirsch, to which a little ground cinnamon and the finely grated peel and the juice of a lemon have been added. The fruit must be well drained before it is dipped in batter. When this is not done, each piece of fruit should be sprinkled with sugar, a very little lemon juice, and spice. For frying, see general directions. Henriettes. 1 egg, 1/2 gill cream, salt, 1 saltspoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. 1 teaspoon brandy, flour. Beat the yolk and white separately. Mix all smoothly together with sufficient flour to roll out. Roll as thin as possible and cut into squares and ribbons. Fry in boiling lard. Drain and sprinkle with flavored sugar. Orange fritters. Peel and divide several sweet oranges into sections. Scrape off all pith with a sharp knife. Take out the seeds. Drop them into a syrup made of water, sugar, and a tablespoon of brandy, and let them simmer for a few minutes. Take out and drain on a sieve. Dip in batter and fry. Put in the oven to drain and sprinkle with orange sugar. Pineapple fritters. 1 pineapple, fresh or tinned. 2 cups flour. 1 tablespoon melted butter. 1 egg. Water. Pare and grate the pineapple. To the juice, add the flour. Mix perfectly smooth. Add the well-beaten yolk, a little salt, and the butter. If fresh pineapple is used, add sufficient water to make the batter thin enough to drop from the end of spoon. Beat the white of egg to a stiff froth and stir it in quickly and lightly when ready to fry. Drop into the boiling fat by the tablespoon and fry a golden brown. Drain on paper in the oven and dust with lemon sugar. Portuguese fritters, pain perdu. 1 pint milk, 1 yolk, 2 tablespoons sugar. Bread, 2 ounces butter, 1 dessertspoon orange flower water. Boil the milk with the sugar, grated rind of a lemon, and orange flower water until it is reduced 1/2. Cut several slices of bread 1/2 inch thick. Take off the crust and cut the bread into rounds about the size of the top of a tumbler. Dip these in the milk and then in the well-beaten yolk. Fry in butter. Sprinkle with lemon sugar, or put on each one a spoonful of jam. Serve very hot. Soufflé fritters. Beignet soufflé. 1 cup water, 2 ounces butter, 4 ounces flour, 1 teaspoon powdered sugar, 6 yolks, 3 whites. Set the water on the fire. Add the sugar, butter, and a little salt. As soon as it boils, add the flour all at once. Work it smooth with a wooden spoon and stir it over the fire for 2 or 3 minutes. Take off the fire and add the yolks of 6 eggs, one after the other, beating hard all the time. Beat the whites of 3 eggs to a stiff froth. Add this to the batter, stirring it lightly in. Divide into pieces about the size of an egg. Sprinkle them with flour and fry them in a very large saucepan of clarified fat, giving each fritter room to swell without touching another. The fat should not be too hot at first, but as the fritters swell, the heat should be increased. When a good color, take them out, drain them, and sprinkle them with sugar. Serve at once very hot. Strawberry fritters. Dip whole strawberries into batter number 2. Fry a good color. Drain, sprinkle with sugar, and glaze with a salamander. End of section 7.
Section 8 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org, read by Dodi, The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Section 8, Omelets. General directions. A special pan should be kept for omelets. It must be used for nothing else. After being used, it is best to scour it with a little salt and vinegar in order to keep a perfectly smooth surface. Melt a teaspoon of butter in the pan. Let it run well over it, but do not let it burn. Pour in the eggs. Lift the egg mixture at the sides as it cooks, so as to let the uncooked part flow under. This must, however, only be done at first, or the surface will be roughened. When the egg is firm underneath, but still soft on top, fold one side carefully over the other with a knife. Flip gently on a very hot plate. Serve quickly and very hot. Add a little salt to the eggs whilst beating. Sweet Omelet 1. 3 eggs, powdered sugar, jam. Beat the eggs slightly with 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. Cook as directed. Before folding over, spread with apricot or strawberry jam. Fold. Sprinkle with powdered sugar and score several diagonal lines on the top with a clean red-hot poker or iron. Sweet omelet, 2. 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons rich cream, powdered sugar, jam. Beat the yolks with 1 tablespoon sugar and the cream until very light and frothy. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Fold them lightly into the yolks. Pour into a pan and when firm, set in the oven a few moments to dry. Fold in half, sprinkle with sugar, and score several diagonal lines with a clean red-hot poker. Foam omelet. 3 eggs, 1 tablespoon powdered sugar. Beat the yolks and sugar together. Beat the whites to a stiff froth, and add half of them to the yolks, folding lightly in. Pour into a pan, and when the mixture is nearly set, spread it with the rest of the whites, flavored with a little vanilla or lemon juice and sweetened. When the whites are thoroughly heated, fold over. Sprinkle with sugar and serve quickly. Orange omelet. 3 eggs, powdered sugar, orange sugar, the finely grated rind of 1 orange, 3 tablespoons orange juice. Beat the yolks and 2 tablespoons powdered sugar until creamy and light. Add the juice and rind. Beat again. Fold in the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Proceed as for sweet omelet number 2. Sprinkle the omelet thickly with orange sugar. See page 164. Rum omelet. 3 eggs, powdered sugar, rum. Beat the eggs with 1 tablespoon sugar. Pour into the pan. Sprinkle well with sugar before folding. Fold. Slip on a very hot dish. Pour lighted rum over the omelet, basting the omelet with the rum until it is extinguished. Serve quickly. End of Chapter 8. Section 9 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Dodi. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Chapter 9. Baked Soufflés. General Directions. Soufflés should be made in dishes made for the purpose and must be served in the same. The dish should be spread with cold butter. The soufflé mixed not a moment before it is time to put in the oven, which should be moderately hot, and served immediately it is taken out. A soufflé is better underdone than overdone. Great care must be taken to whisk in the whites of eggs as quickly and lightly as possible. It is best to tie a piece of buttered paper round the outside of the mold so that the soufflé does not run over. In any case, room must be given for it to rise. If there is danger of the soufflé burning, cover it with a sheet of greased paper. Chocolate soufflé. To the vanilla soufflé, see page 58, add 2 ounces fine powdered chocolate, stirring it into the mixture whilst boiling. Coffee soufflé. 2 ounces roasted whole coffee, 1½ pints cream or milk, 3 ounces butter, 3 ounces fine flour, 3 ounces powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 8 eggs. Throw the coffee into the boiling cream or milk. Cover closely and set aside for an hour. Strain through fine muslin. Melt the butter in a large enamel saucepan. Add the flour. Mix till perfectly smooth. Add the cream and sugar. Stir together. Set aside to cool. Add the yolks beaten till creamy and the vanilla. Then whip in the whites, which should be whisked to a firm froth. Bake in a buttered soufflé dish in a moderate oven for 3/4 of an hour. Maraschino soufflé. 3 yolks, 4 whites, 1 tablespoon maraschino, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons flour, 1 pint cream. Beat the yolks and sugar for 10 minutes. Add the flour. Beat till perfectly smooth. Add the maraschino and cream. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Beat them lightly in. Pour into a soufflé dish and bake. Sprinkle with powdered sugar. Omelet soufflé. 6 eggs, 4 heaped tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Beat the yolks and sugar together for 15 minutes. Add the flavoring. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Pour the yolks on the whites and whisk them lightly and quickly till mixed. Pour into a buttered tin, sprinkle with powdered sugar, and put in a moderately hot oven. It should take about 10 to 15 minutes to bake. Serve at once. Punch soufflé. 1 pint cream or milk, 2 tablespoons china or green tea, 3 ounces butter, 3 ounces flour, 1 glass rum, 1 lemon, 8 yolks. Boil the cream. Add to it the tea. Set it back on the oven and let it stand 5 minutes, closely covered. Strain off the cream. Melt the butter in a saucepan. Add the flour and stir till perfectly smooth. Add the cream. Stir continually for 4 or 5 minutes. Pour into a basin. Add the sugar, juice of the lemon, half of the grated rind, and the rum. Beat well together until cooler. Gradually add the well-beaten yolks, beating vigorously while doing so. Bake for about 3/4 of an hour. Soufflé royal. 1/2 pint cream, 2 tablespoons flour, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons orange flower water, 1/2 cup pounded almonds, 6 eggs. Mix the well-beaten yolks of 6 eggs with the rest of the ingredients, beating all together hard for 10 minutes. Add the whites beaten to a firm froth. Mix well and pour into a buttered soufflé dish. Serve as soon as the soufflé has risen. Pounded macaroons may be used instead of almonds. Strawberry soufflé. 1 quart strawberries, 8 tablespoons powdered sugar, 8 whites of eggs, 1/2 teaspoon lemon juice. Press the berries through a fine sieve into a basin. Add the sugar. Beat until very frothy. Add the lemon juice and the whites whipped to a firm froth. Bake in a slow oven for half an hour. Sprinkle with lemon sugar. See page 164. Vanilla soufflé. 2 ounces potato flour or fine flour, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 teacup milk or cream, 4 eggs, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 tablespoons butter. Mix the flour, sugar, and milk to a perfectly smooth paste and stir over the fire until the flour is cooked. The mixture should boil for at least 5 minutes. Add the butter whilst boiling. Strain and set aside to cool. Beat the yolks till creamy. Beat them together with the milk, etc. Add the flavoring. Beat in the whites, whipped to a stiff froth, very lightly. Bake in buttered soufflé dish in a moderate oven for 25 minutes. This soufflé may be flavored with the syrup of preserved ginger, 1 tablespoon of maraschino, the juice and grated rind of a lemon, or with orange flower water. End of chapter 9. Section 10 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Dodi. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Chapter 10. Soufflé Puddings. General Directions. Do not more than half fill the tin. Tie a piece of buttered paper right round the outside of the tin, letting it project about 2 inches above the tin. Set the soufflé dish in a vessel of simmering water, which should reach halfway up the soufflé tin, and which should boil gently and be replenished from time to time with boiling water. Cook either in a very moderate oven or on a very gentle fire. The water should only simmer. When cooked, turn the soufflés out carefully and serve with cream or wine sauce. Almond soufflé. 4 ounces almonds, 7 eggs, 4 ounces sugar, 1 tablespoon lemon sugar, 2½ ounces flour. Blanch and pound the almonds with 1 whole egg. Add the sugar, 6 yolks, lemon sugar, see page 164. Beat for a quarter of an hour. Sift in the flour lightly, avoiding lumps, and add the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Pour into a buttered mold and steam about an hour. Chocolate soufflé. 2 ounces butter, 2 ounces fine flour, ½ pint milk, 1 ounce sugar, 2 ounces powdered chocolate, 4 eggs, ½ teaspoon vanilla. Melt the butter in a saucepan. Add the flour. Mix until quite smooth. Add the boiling milk gradually and stir together into a smooth paste. Strain through a sieve into a basin. Add the vanilla, sugar, and chocolate. Add the well-beaten yolks when the mixture is nearly cold, and then the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Mix thoroughly and pour into a buttered mold. Steam for about an hour and a half. Chocolate soufflé with almonds. 4 ounces butter, 4 ounces sugar, 4 ounces chocolate, 4 ounces almonds, 6 eggs, 1 white, 2 tablespoons finely chopped candied orange and citron. Blanch and pound the almonds in a mortar with the white of an egg. Beat the butter to a cream. Beat the yolks thoroughly and add them to the butter, beating till smooth and foamy. Add the sugar, almonds, and the melted chocolate. Beat all together 10 minutes. Add the chopped peel and the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Pour into a buttered mold and steam for 1½ hours. Cream soufflé. 2 tablespoons fine flour, 4 ounces butter, ½ pint cream, 5 eggs, 1½ ounces sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, or 1 tablespoon maraschino. Stir the flour with 2 ounces of butter over the fire till smooth. Add the cream and stir continually till it boils. Set aside to cool. Beat the yolks till creamy. Beat the butter to a cream. Beat the butter and yolks together with the sugar and vanilla. Mix with the cream. Beat together and beat in 3 whites, whipped to a stiff froth. Pour into a buttered mold. Steam over the fire for 3/4 of an hour. Lemon soufflé. 1 ounce butter, 1/4 pound powdered sugar, 1 lemon, 1½ ounces flour, 5 eggs. Beat the yolks till creamy. Mix them with the flour, sugar, warmed butter, and grated rind of 1 lemon, and beat well together. Stir over the fire till the mixture thickens. Set aside in a basin till cool. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Whip them lightly in. Steam in a buttered mold for ½ an hour. End of chapter 10.
Section 11 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by BettyB. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Hot Puddings. Albemarle pudding. 4 ounces butter, 4 ounces powdered sugar, 3 eggs, 1 lemon, 3/4 pound flour, raisins. Beat the butter to a cream, add the sugar and rind of a lemon. Beat well. Add the well-beaten yolks and flour alternately, beating continually. When quite smooth, add the juice of the lemon and the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Butter a mold and line the top of it with raisins. Pour in the mixture and steam an hour and a half. Serve with a wine sauce. Apple and apricot charlotte. 6 large apples, butter the size of a walnut, sugar, the finely peeled rind of a lemon, 1/2 pound apricot jam. Peel and core the apples. Cut in quarters. Stew with the butter and sufficient sugar to sweeten until tender. taking care not to let them burn. Warm the jam in a saucepan and put through a sieve. Add to the apples and stir well together. Line a buttered mould with strips of thin bread which have been dipped in melted butter. Fill in with apples and apricot mixture. Cover with a round of bread also dipped in butter. Bake about 20 minutes or until the bread is well colored. Apple custard. 6 large apples, 3 eggs, 6 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 pint milk. Pare and core the apples. Fill the center of each with sugar and bake, being careful that they do not break, or they can be stewed whole. Make a custard of the yolks, milk, and half the sugar. Pour it over the apples, which should be arranged in a dish. Bake slowly until the custard is firm. Whip the whites till frothy. Add the rest of the sugar gradually and beat well together. Spread this over the custard and put in a moderate oven. Remove directly the meringue is browned. Bread and rum pudding. 2 wine glasses rum, 4 eggs, 6 ounces powdered sugar, 6 ounces breadcrumbs, 6 ounces currants, 1/2 pound candied peel, 4 ounces butter, 3 tablespoons milk. Melt the butter, mix it with the sugar, breadcrumbs, and yolks. Stir well together. Add the currants, milk, chopped peel, and 1 glass of rum. Beat the whites to a stiff froth and stir them in. Put in a buttered mould. Steam 3 hours. When cooked, pour another glass of rum over the pudding and serve. Cherry pudding. 4 eggs, 1 pint milk, 2 tablespoons of flour, cherries, sugar. Stone enough cherries to fill a basin, which must be well buttered. Add sufficient sugar to sweeten well. Make a smooth batter of the well beaten eggs, flour, and milk. Pour it over the cherries, filling the basin. Cover with a cloth and boil 1½ hours. Serve with a fruit sauce. Christmas plum pudding. 1. 1 1/2 pound suet, 1 pound flour, 1/2 pound breadcrumbs, 2 pounds raisins, 1 pound sultanas, 1/2 pound currants, 1/2 pound mixed candied peel, 1/2 pound sugar, 1 saltspoon salt, grated rind and juice of 3 lemons, 1/2 nutmeg grated, 4 blanched and pounded bitter almonds, 1 teaspoon mixed spice, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon ground ginger, 1 pint brandy or sherry, 5 eggs beaten up with 1/2 pint milk, orange juice if liked. Chop the suet very fine. Mix the sugar and spices. Add the suet, well prepared fruit, eggs, and brandy. Let the mixture stand until the following day, stirring well at intervals. Put the mixture into well buttered basins, filling them to within 2 inches of the top. Cover with buttered paper and over this tie a well floured cloth. Boil for 8 hours. Christmas plum pudding 2. For each pudding, 1/4 pound raisins, 1/4 pound sultanas, 1/4 pound currants, 1/4 pound orange peel, 1/4 pound lemon peel, 1/4 pound almonds chopped, 1/4 pound chopped preserved ginger, 1/4 pound sugar, 5 ounces chopped suet, 3 heaped tablespoons flour, 5 eggs. Spices, brandy or whiskey to taste, salt. Boil 12 hours. Dutch apple cake. 1 pint flour, 1/2 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 1 teaspoon cream of tartar, 1/4 cup butter, 1 egg, 1 scant cup milk, 4 sour apples, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar. Mix and sift the dry materials together. Rub in the butter. Beat the egg, mix it with the milk. Add to the flour and stir well in. Spread the dough 1/2 inch thick in a shallow tin. Pare the apples and core them. Cut them into eighths. Put these in rows, pressing the thin edge down into the dough. Sprinkle the sugar over the apples. Bake in a hot oven 20 to 30 minutes. Serve with lemon sauce. Fig pudding. 1/4 pound butter, 1/4 pound figs, 1/4 pound breadcrumbs, 2 eggs. Chop the figs and stew them in the butter for 1/4 hour. Beat the eggs well. Mix them with the breadcrumbs. Add the figs and butter. Steam on a buttered mould 3 hours. Friar's omelet. Apples, 3 eggs, 1 cup sugar, juice of half a lemon, breadcrumbs. Steam several sour apples. Mash them and then drain them until quite dry. Take 1 pint of this pulp, and when cool add to it the 3 well beaten yolks, the sugar, lemon juice, and the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Brown some very fine bread crumbs in a little butter. Sprinkle the bottom and sides of a well buttered pudding dish with them. Pour in the mixture, cover with bread crumbs, bake 20 minutes. Serve with brown sugar and cream. Gooseberry pudding. 3 cups gooseberries, 3/4 pound butter, 3/4 pound powdered sugar, 8 eggs, 4 sponge fingers. Stew the gooseberries in water until tender. Do not let them break. Take them out and drain. Then put them through a fine sieve. Beat the butter to a cream, add the sugar and beat again. Stir in the gooseberry pulp, the well beaten eggs, and the sponge fingers finely crushed. Mix well and bake in a pudding dish for 30 minutes. Ginger pudding. 1/2 pound flour, 6 ounces suet, 1 tablespoon brown sugar, 2 tablespoons golden syrup, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 2 eggs, a little milk. Sift the baking powder with the flour, beat the eggs until creamy. Mix all well together. Steam 2½ hours. Italian mousse. 12 yolks, 4 wine glasses Madeira or light white wine, 6 ounces powdered sugar, a pinch of powdered cinnamon, a little lemon juice. Beat well together. Pour into an enameled saucepan and stand it in a larger vessel containing hot water. Beat continually with a whisk until the mixture froths and rises. Serve immediately in glasses. Little citron puddings. 1/2 pint of cream, 1 tablespoon sifted flour, 2 ounces powdered sugar, nutmeg, 3 yolks. Mix the cream, flour, sugar, and a very little nutmeg together until quite smooth. Add the well beaten yolks. Butter 5 small teacups or molds and line with very thin pieces of citron. Pour in the mixture, but do not fill quite full. Bake in a fairly quick oven. Turn out the puddings and serve at once. Marmalade pudding. 2 eggs, their weight in flour, butter, and powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon marmalade, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Sift the flour and baking powder together. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar and beat again. Add the flour, marmalade, and well beaten yolks. Beat the whites to a stiff froth and add them last. Pour into a buttered basin and steam for an hour and a half. Turn out and spread with a little marmalade. Serve with a sweet sauce. Mousse à la Mangara. 1/4 pound powdered sugar, 6 eggs, wine glass of kirsch. Beat the sugar and eggs together until creamy and light. Add the kirsch and stand in a saucepan of hot water. Set over a slow fire and stir continually until the mixture thickens. It must not boil. Take off the fire and add the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Serve at once. Palace pudding. 1/4 pound butter, 1/4 pound castor sugar, 3 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 1/4 pound flour. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar and well beaten eggs. Beat thoroughly. Add the flour. When well mixed, add the vanilla. Butter a mold. Sprinkle it with powdered sugar. Steam 1 hour. Before turning out, let the pudding stand for a minute or two. Pineapple and rice mold. 1/2 pound rice, 1 pint milk, 3 eggs, 1/2 pound pineapple, syrup, 1/4 pound tinned apricots, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon kirsch. Cook the rice in the milk in a double boiler until it is very tender and the milk is all absorbed. Cut the pineapple in small pieces and let it simmer for several minutes in a little syrup. Beat 3 whole eggs well together. Add them to the rice and then the pineapple. When well mixed, pour into a buttered mold. Bake for about half an hour. Mash the apricots. Add the sugar. When melted, pass through a sieve. Add the kirsch. Pour over the pudding. Plum pudding. 1/4 pound butter, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1 gill cream, 1 gill rum, 1/2 pound chopped suet, 1 cup chopped raisins, 1 cup currants, 1/4 pound chopped citron, 6 eggs, 1 teaspoon ground spices, bread crumbs. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Add the rum and cream. Beat well. Add the suet and well-floured fruit. Beat the eggs together till very light. Add then the spices and sufficient fine breadcrumbs to make a stiff batter. Pour into a buttered mold. Boil 5 hours. Strawberry Shortcake. 1/2 pound flour, 3 ounces butter, 1 tablespoon sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, milk, strawberries, sugar, and butter. Sift the flour, sugar, and baking powder together twice. Rub in the butter. Add sufficient milk to make a dough, about 3/4 of a cup, mixing lightly with a knife. Put on a floured board and roll out lightly. Divide in two. Bake in 2 well-buttered round tins, about 8 inches in diameter, in a hot oven for 12 minutes. When baked, split open and spread with plenty of butter and a thick layer of crushed and well-sweetened strawberries. Serve at once, very hot. The strawberries should be prepared about half an hour before they are needed. End of section 11.
Section 12 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Lindsay Ann Cameron. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Section 12, Sauces. General directions. All hot pudding sauces should be served as soon as made. Butter may be creamed in a warmed basin, but should on no account be melted. Sauces made with yolks of eggs are best in a bain-marie, i.e., a saucepan placed in a larger pan containing hot water. Banana sauce. 1 cup water, 4 tablespoons powdered sugar, 4 bananas, 1 dessertspoon maraschino, or 1 wineglass of wine. Put the water and sugar in a saucepan and stir until the sugar is dissolved. Add 4 bananas, which have been mashed with a silver fork. Boil for 2 minutes. Put through a sieve and add the wine or maraschino. Chocolate sauce. 1/2 cup water, 1/2 cup powdered sugar, 3 ounces chocolate, vanilla, 1/2 cup scalded cream. Boil the water and sugar together for 5 minutes. Stir in the melted chocolate. Add a little vanilla. Stir in the cream immediately before serving. If the chocolate mixture cannot be served at once, stand it in a pan of hot water until it is needed. Custard sauce. 1/2 pint milk or cream, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, yolk of 2 eggs, vanilla. Boil the milk and sugar together. Beat the yolks thoroughly and pour the milk over them. Strain and return to the saucepan, stirring until it thickens. Do not let it boil. Add a little vanilla. Foam sauce. 1/4 pound butter, 1 cup castor sugar, 1/4 cup boiling water, white of 1 egg, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 tablespoons wine, fruit juice, or syrup. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar, vanilla, and wine. Just before it is served, stir in the boiling water. Then add the well-beaten white of an egg and beat until the sauce is foamy. Fruit sauce. 1 cup juice of fresh or stewed fruit, 1 teaspoon arrowroot, 1/2 cup powdered sugar. Let the juice boil. Add gradually the arrowroot, which must be smoothly mixed with a very little water, and boil for 5 minutes. Strain. If jam is used, 1/2 cup will be sufficient. It should first be well beaten and then pass through a sieve. 1/2 cup of water should be added to it, and less sugar will be required. Golden sauce. 4 ounces butter, 1/2 cup powdered sugar, yolk of 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon boiling water, juice of 1/2 a lemon, 1 glass of wine or brandy. Beat sugar and butter together until creamy. Put the bowl in hot water and stir until liquid. Add the well-beaten yolks and hot water and stir until the mixture thickens. Add lemon juice and wine. Beat well together. Golden syrup or molasses sauce. 1 cup syrup or molasses. Juice of a lemon. 1 tablespoon vinegar. 1 tablespoon salt butter. Boil all together for 10 minutes. This is a good sauce to serve with plain boiled rice or batter pudding. Hard sauce. 2 ounces butter, 2 ounces castor sugar, ½ teaspoon vanilla, 1 tablespoon brandy. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar gradually. Beat well. Then add the brandy, a very little at a time. Pile the sauce lightly on a dish and keep it on ice until required. This sauce is excellent with plum puddings. Hard sauce with fruit. 2 ounces butter, 2 ounces powdered sugar, ½ pound crushed strawberries, whites of 2 eggs. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar gradually, beating hard all the time. Add the strawberries, which have first been crushed. Beat again thoroughly. Add 1 unbeaten white of egg. Beat well, and then add the other white. Beat again thoroughly and stand on ice. Jelly sauce. ½ cup of red currant or blackberry jelly. The juice of 1 lemon. Grated rind of ½ a lemon. 1 heaping tablespoon powdered sugar. 2 glasses white wine. Beat the jelly till it is quite a light color. Add the lemon juice and rind to the jelly. Bring almost to a boil. Stir continually. Take off the fire and add the sugar and wine, beating hard. The dish containing this sauce should be covered and must be kept in a basin full of very hot water until served. Give it a good whisk before serving. Lemon sauce. Grated rind and juice of a lemon. 1 cup powdered sugar. 3 teaspoons corn flour. 1 pint hot water. Boil the water and sugar together for 5 minutes. Mix the corn flour in a cup with a little water until it is perfectly smooth, and then add it gradually to the syrup, stirring quickly all the time. Let it boil again for 10 minutes. Add the grated rind and juice of the lemon. Strain. Melted butter. 2 tablespoons butter. 2 teaspoons flour. 1½ cups of hot water or water and milk. 1 cup brown or powdered sugar. Flavoring. Melt the butter in a saucepan, being careful not to brown it. Add the flour and mix until quite smooth. Then add the hot water or milk and water, gradually, stirring well all the time, and when it boils, add the sugar. Stir continually for 5 minutes. Remove from the fire and add a small ½ teaspoonful of vanilla or a little nutmeg if milk has been used, but 2 teaspoonfuls of fresh lemon juice if it has been made with water. Sabayon. The yolk of 4 eggs, 1½ wine glasses Madeira or sherry, 4 tablespoons castor sugar, a little cinnamon. This can be made in 2 ways. 1. Put eggs, wine, and sugar into a saucepan on a good fire. Beat continually until the mixture thickens. It must not boil. Or 2. Beat eggs and sugar very thoroughly together for 5 minutes. Then add the wine. Put into an earthenware pot and stand this in a very large saucepan of very hot water. Beat over the fire until the mixture thickens. Whipped cream sauce. ½ pint of cream. ½ cup of castor sugar, white of 1 egg, ½ teaspoon vanilla or a little brandy. Beat the cream until stiff. Add the sugar and vanilla. Beat the white of egg until frothy. Add to the cream and beat all together. Wine sauce. 1. ½ pint melted butter, 1 teaspoon lemon juice, 1 wineglass sherry or Madeira. Make the melted butter, see page 85, with water. Sweeten it with brown sugar and flavor it with the lemon juice and a very little grated peel. Add the wine at last and do not let it boil again. Wine sauce 2. 1 cup white wine, yolk of 4 eggs, 1 teaspoon lemon juice, the rind of 1/4 of a lemon. Heat the wine, sugar, lemon juice, and peel. Beat the yolks thoroughly in a large basin. Directly the wine comes to the boil, pour it over the yolks. Beat with an egg whisk until very frothy. End of section 12.
Section 13 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry book by Elizabeth Douglas. Jellies. General instructions. It has been found difficult in the receipts which follow, owing to the variation of the quantity of juice in lemons, etc., to give the exact quantity of gelatin required. A safe rule in making jellies is to use 2 ounces of gelatin to every 1 3/4 quarts of liquid. In summer, 2 ounces of gelatin will be needed to each 1/4 quart. This must include all liquid flavorings and be very carefully measured. The best gelatin is now so pure that it is practically unnecessary to go to the trouble of making jelly from calf's feet, a receipt for which has, however, been given. More elaborate jellies are made by the addition of fruit. To do this, pour jelly into a mold to the depth of 1/2 inch. When set, arrange on it a layer of perfectly fresh, ripe fruit, strawberries, cherries, grapes, pineapple, peaches, oranges, etc., adding another layer of jelly, and when that is set, more fruit, and so on, until the mold is full. During the process, the mold should be kept on ice so that the jelly will set quickly. Before putting jelly into a mold, dip it in very cold water and invert it for a moment. Pour in the jelly while still wet. Use a silver or wooden spoon for stirring, and do not stir jelly while it is cooling. To color jelly pink, add a few drops of cochineal. To loosen the jelly when ready to serve, dip the mold quickly into hot water. Dry the mold before turning out. Calf's foot jelly. 4 calf's feet, 4 quarts of water, 1 pint wine or water, 1 pound crushed lump sugar, 4 whites of eggs, 2 lemons, 1/2 stick cinnamon, 1 teaspoon grated nutmeg. Clean the calf's feet thoroughly. Boil them in the water until it is reduced to half the original quantity. This will take about 8 hours. Skim occasionally. Pour into a large basin. Set aside for 12 hours. Remove the fat very carefully. Put back into a large pan, being careful to keep back the dregs. Add the sugar whisked up with the whites, the juice of the lemons, the grated rind of one, and the spice. Let it boil for 10 minutes. Skim. Add the wine and boil up again for 2 minutes. Strain through a jelly bag 2 or 3 times and keep in a cold place. Gelatin jelly. A little over 1/2 ounce isinglass, 1 gill cold water, 1/2 pint boiling water, 3 ounces sugar, 1 lemon, 1 white and the shell of 1 egg, 1 gill brandy. Soak the isinglass in the cold water for an hour. Put it into the boiling water. Add the sugar, the finely pared rind of the lemon, the white and crushed shell of an egg. Boil 1 minute. Pour in a tablespoon cold water. Set aside 10 minutes. Strain through a jelly bag. Add 1 gill brandy or sherry when cool. Pour into a wetted mold. Cranberry jelly. Stew some cranberries in plenty of water until they're soft. Rub them through a sieve. Put the pulp into an enameled saucepan. When it boils, add sugar in the proportion of 1 pound to every pint of pulp. Stir continually for a few minutes and pour into a mold. Claret jelly. 1 bottle claret, 1 lemon, 1 gill red currant jelly, 1/2 pound loaf sugar, a little over 1 ounce isinglass, 1 gill brandy. Soak the gelatin in a very little water. Add it to the claret with the juice and rind of the lemon, jelly, the crushed loaf sugar, and brandy. Boil all together for 5 minutes. Put once through a jelly bag. Dip a mold with a hollow center into cold water. Pour in the jelly. Serve with whipped cream in the center of the mold. Instead of claret and red currant jelly, a white wine and quince jelly can be used. Gelée fouettée. 1/2 pint champagne, 1/2 pint water, 2 lemons, 6 ounces lump sugar, a little over 1 ounce gelatin. Make a syrup of the water and sugar. Add the soaked gelatin, juice of 2 lemons, and the finely pared peel of 1 lemon. Boil 3 minutes. Strain through a jelly bag. When cold, but still liquid, add the champagne and beat on ice until very frothy. Put into a mold or serve in glasses. Lemon froth. 1 ounce gelatin, 1/2 pint boiling water, 1/2 pint cold water, 3 lemons, 6 ounces lump sugar, whites of 6 eggs. Dissolve the gelatin and sugar in the boiling water with the finely pared lemon peel. Add the cold water and the juice of the lemons. Skim with a silver spoon. Strain into a large basin. When beginning to set, add the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Beat well together and pile up in a glass dish. Serve with sweetened whipped cream. Maraschino jelly. Make a gelatin jelly using maraschino instead of brandy, and adding it when the jelly is cold, but still liquid. Orange baskets. Cut several oranges across in half, take out the pulp and scrape the inside until clean. Put into cold water. Use the juice to make a jelly. Break the jelly into small pieces. Pile it high in each half of an orange. Make handles of strips of angelica. Whipped cream may be added as a garnish. Orange jelly. 14 ounces loaf sugar, 1/2 pint water, 1 ounce isinglass, 12 oranges, 1 lemon, 1 white of an egg. Boil the sugar and water together. Skim. Add the gelatin, the grated rind of 1 orange, the lemon, and the whisked white of an egg. Boil 5 minutes. Add the juice of the oranges. Strain through a jelly bag. Prune jelly. 1 pound prunes, 1/4 pound sugar, 2 thin pieces lemon peel, 1 ounce gelatin, 1½ pints water, 1 ounce sweet almonds, 1 gill sherry. Set the prunes to soak in water for 1 hour. Drain them and put them in an enameled saucepan. Add the water, lemon peel, and sugar, and stew till tender. Then remove the stones. Put the prunes through a fine sieve. Crack the stones, split the kernels, and then add them with the blanched and chopped almonds to the prunes. Set on the fire again. Add the gelatin, which should have been previously soaked for an hour. Boil for 5 minutes, stirring all the time. Add the sherry, pour into a wet mold. Serve with whipped cream. Rhubarb jelly. 1½ pounds rhubarb, 1½ pounds lump sugar, gelatin, 1 lemon. Stew the rhubarb, the finely pared peel and juice of the lemon, and sugar with a little water over a very gentle fire until pulpy. Pass through a fine sieve. To every pint of rhubarb pulp, add 3/4 of an ounce of gelatin, dissolved in a very little boiling water. Stir over the fire till thoroughly mixed. Pour into a wet mold with a hollow in the center. When serving, fill the hollow with whipped cream. End of section 13. Read by Sandra. Near Montreal, 2022.
Section 14 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by BettyB. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Creams. Bavarian Cream. 1. 1/2 ounce gelatine, 1 pint cream, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Soak the gelatine, whip the cream, dissolve the gelatine in a little boiling milk, strain it into a basin, add whichever flavor is chosen, stirring continually until cool but still liquid. Then add the cream and mix thoroughly. Pour into molds and set on ice if possible. This cream may be flavored with 2 tablespoons maraschino, 2 tablespoons caramel, melted and browned sugar, a small coffee cup of very clear, strong coffee, or 3 tablespoons powdered chocolate instead of vanilla. Bavarian Cream 2. 5 yolks, 4 ounces powdered sugar, 1 ounce gelatine, 1 quart cream, 1/2 pint cream. Boil half pint of cream, pour it over the yolks, add the sugar and stir over a gentle fire until the mixture begins to thicken. Add the gelatine, which has been dissolved in a very little water. Mix thoroughly, put through a fine hair sieve into a basin. Beat until cold. Add the vanilla and the cream whipped. Pour into a mold and set on ice if possible. This cream can be flavored with 3 tablespoons of maraschino, which should be added with the cream. In this case, the mold used may be lined with maraschino jelly. To do this, fill the mold with jelly to the depth of an inch. When it is firm, set a smaller mold inside the mold in use. Fill the space all around it with jelly and leave till set. Then pour a little warm water on the inner mold to loosen it. Take it out carefully and fill the space with cream. The inner mold should be about 1.5 inches smaller in diameter than the outer mold. A small cup of strong, clear coffee can be used as flavoring, or 1 tablespoon lemon juice and 1 gill rum. Chartreuse of orange. Orange jelly, oranges, for cream, 3/4 ounce gelatine, 3/4 pint cream, 1/4 pound sugar. For this and the following receipt 2 plain molds are required. One should be about 1 1/2 inches larger in diameter than the other. Into the larger mold pour orange jelly to make a layer 1/2 an inch deep. When slightly set, arrange a second layer of sections of oranges which have had all the skin and pips removed. Cover these with more orange jelly. Set aside until firm. Place the smaller mold exactly in the center of the larger one, resting it on the jelly. Fill up the space between the 2 molds with sections of orange, prepared as before. Pour jelly over them so that the space is completely filled up. Place upon ice or in a very cold place until the jelly is firmly set. Dissolve the gelatine, which should have been previously soaked for 3 hours, in a little hot milk. Whip the cream and pour in the strained gelatine slowly, stirring all the time. Flavor with a syrup made as follows. Take 1/4 pound lump sugar. Rub the rind of 1 orange off on several lumps. Put all together with the juice of 2 oranges in an enamel saucepan. Stir over a gentle fire till melted. Pour this syrup, when cool, slowly over the cream, whipping all the time. When the jelly is set, pour a little warm water into the inner mold to loosen it. Take it out very carefully, fill in the space with the cream. Other fruits may be used, and lemon jelly can be used instead of orange. In all cases, great care should be taken in arranging the fruit. If the oranges or fruit used are sour, soak them for an hour in a syrup of sugar and brandy or rum. Chartreuse of strawberries. 2 pounds strawberries, 1 pint clear lemon jelly, 1/2 pint cream, sugar, 1/2 ounce gelatine. Proceed as for orange chartreuse, using 1 pound of strawberries cut lengthwise in half to decorate the jelly. For the cream, mash the rest of the strawberries with sufficient sugar to sweeten thoroughly. Put through a fine sieve. Whip the cream, dissolve the gelatine in a very little hot water, strain it, and when cool, but still quite liquid, add it slowly to the strawberry juice, stirring all the time. Add the whipped cream gradually, and a few drops of cochineal. Chestnut cream. 20 chestnuts, 1 ounce gelatine, 1/2 pint milk, 1/4 pound sugar, 1/2 a lemon, 1 wineglass curaçao, 1/2 pint cream. Boil, skin, and pound the chestnuts, put them through a sieve. Boil the thinly peeled rind of a lemon, the sugar and milk together. Take off the fire and add the previously soaked gelatine. Stir till melted. Strain. When cool, add the chestnut puree and beat till smooth. Add the curaçao and whipped cream. Mix well and pour into a mold. Serve with sweetened whipped cream. Chocolate Bavarois. 1 pint cream, 1 ounce gelatine, 1 ounce chocolate, 1 cup milk, 1/2 pound powdered sugar. Soak the gelatine in a little of the milk. Melt the chocolate in a little hot water with a little sugar. Stir until smooth. Boil the rest of the milk. Add the gelatine to it. Stir till dissolved. Add the chocolate. Strain and add the sugar. Set in a cool place, on ice if possible, in a large basin. Beat until cool. Whip the cream, stir it in, and pour all into a mold. Crème aux fruits. 1 quart cream, 3/4 cup sugar, 4 whites of eggs, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 tablespoon wine or liqueur, 1 cup chopped crystallized fruit, 1 ounce gelatine. Soak the gelatine in cold water. Whip the cream, add the sugar. Dissolve the gelatine in a very little boiling water. Stir it quickly until cool. Pour it slowly on the whites beaten to a dry, stiff froth. Stir well together. Add the cream, mix very well. Add the vanilla, wine, or liqueur. When the mixture begins to thicken, add the fruit gradually. Place a number of crystallized cherries in the bottom of a mold. Pour in the cream, set on ice. Crème Hollandaise. 10 yolks, 1/2 pint white wine, 1 lemon, 1/2 ounce gelatine, 1 pint whipped cream. Put the yolks, wine, and the rind of the lemon, very thinly peeled, into an enameled saucepan. Stir over a gentle fire until the mixture thickens. Melt the gelatine, which should have been soaked for an hour, in as little hot water as possible. Add it slowly to the yolks. Stir till thoroughly mixed. Strain into a basin. Beat until cool. Stir in the whipped cream, and set on ice or in a cold place. Doyore cream. 1/4 pound Jordan almonds, 1/2 ounce bitter almonds, 1/4 pound powdered sugar, 1 1/4 pints cream, 1 ounce gelatine noyau. Blanch and pound the almonds, moistening with a little of the cream. Rub through a hair sieve. Whip the rest of the cream. Flavor with noyau. Stir in the almonds and mix till smooth. Dissolve the gelatine, which should have been soaked in preparation, in a very little hot water. Strain and stir until cool, but still liquid. Pour into the cream, stirring continually until thoroughly mixed. Pour into a mold. Orange cream. 1 large Seville orange, 1 tablespoon brandy, 4 yolks, 4 ounces lump sugar, 1 pint cream, 1/2 ounce gelatine. Rub the rind of the orange onto 2 or 3 lumps of sugar. Add them to the rest of the sugar, brandy, and the juice of the orange. Stir over a very gentle fire till melted. When cool, add the well-beaten yolks to the syrup. Beat for quarter of an hour. Scald the cream, add the gelatine, dissolved in a very little water, to it. Mix well, strain onto the yolks, and beat till cool and beginning to set. Pour into a mold. Rhenish cream. 1 ounce isinglass, 1 pint water, 6 yolks, 1/2 pint cream, 2 lemons, 2 glasses white wine, 4 ounces powdered sugar. Soak the isinglass in 1/4 pint cold water. Add it to 1/4 pint boiling water. Stir till dissolved. Beat the yolks till very light. Add the cream, the juice of 2 lemons and the rind of 1, the wine, sugar, and strained isinglass. Strain all together through a fine sieve. Whisk until it begins to set. Pour into glasses or molds. Rice cream. 1/4 pound rice, milk, 1/2 piece cinnamon, finely cut rind of 1/2 a lemon, 5 yolks, 5 tablespoons powdered sugar, 2 ounces butter, 1 1/2 pints cream, 1 ounce gelatine. Put the rice, cinnamon, and lemon peel in a little salted boiling milk, and simmer until the rice is tender and the milk all absorbed. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar and beat again. Then add the well beaten yolks. Beat thoroughly together. Add the hot rice gradually and stir over the fire in a double boiler until the mixture begins to thicken. Do not let it boil. Then pour into a basin and stir occasionally. Whip the cream. Melt the gelatine in a very little boiling milk. Strain it, and when slightly cooled, stir it gradually into the rice. Add the cream, mixing it lightly. Stir from time to time until the mixtures begin to set. Then pour into a mold. To the above, a glass of rum or any other flavoring can be added. Strawberry cream. Line a basin with fine large strawberries and fill it with Bavarian cream. Strawberry or raspberry cream. Sufficient fruit to make 1 pint of juice, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1 ounce gelatine, 1/2 cup boiling water, 1 pint cream. Soak the gelatine in a little cold water. Mash the fruit and mix the sugar with it. When the sugar has dissolved, rub through a fine sieve. Dissolve the gelatine in the boiling water. Strain slowly over the fruit juice, beating it rapidly while doing so, until the mixture begins to set. Stir in the whipped cream, and pour into a porcelain mold. Instead of fresh fruit, the contents of a tin of apricots or peaches mashed, or a grated tinned pineapple can be used. End of section 14. Section 15 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by BettyB. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Cold Puddings. Charlotte Russe. 1/2 ounce gelatine, 1 pint cream, 12 lady fingers, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 tablespoon sherry or liqueur. Set the gelatine to soak in cold water. Line a mold with lady fingers, leaving a little space between each. Whip the cream, add the sugar, vanilla, and wine. Dissolve the gelatine in as little boiling water as possible. Strain it very slowly through a fine strainer into the cream, stirring rapidly all the time. Stir until the cream begins to stiffen. Then pour it into the mold and set in a cold place or on ice. The mold may be lined with plain or rolled wafers instead of lady fingers. The cream may be flavored with coffee, chocolate, or any fruit syrup. Chocolate blanc mange. 1½ ounces gelatine, 1 quart milk, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons grated chocolate, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Soak the gelatin for 2 hours. Add it to the warmed milk and sugar. Let it heat gently. When the gelatin is melted, strain. Add the chocolate and boil for 5 minutes, stirring continually. Take off the fire. When nearly cold, beat for 10 minutes with a whisk and add the vanilla. Pour into a mold. Serve with cream. Chocolate meringue. 6 whites of eggs, 1 pound powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 3 ounces powdered chocolate. Beat 3 whites with the sugar for 15 minutes. Then add the rest of the whites one at a time, beating well. Add the vanilla and chocolate. Drop on stiff note paper which has been well buttered and place upon a board in a slow oven. Bake until dry. Cornflour pudding. 1 pint milk, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar, 3 whites of eggs, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 2 heaping tablespoons cornflour. Mix the cornflour to a smooth paste with a little of the milk. Put the rest with the sugar in a double boiler. When boiling, add the cornflour. Stir till perfectly smooth and thick. Then leave to cook gently for about 20 minutes. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Stir them in and continue stirring for 2 or 3 minutes. Take off the fire, add the vanilla. If not perfectly smooth, strain. Pour into a mold. Cream whip. 1 pint cream, 1 cup sherry, 1 lemon, 1/2 cup sugar, 2 whites of eggs. Whip the cream lightly. Add the sherry, rind and juice of the lemon, sugar, and the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Stir until the sugar is melted. Skim off the froth and set it on a sieve. Fill custard glasses with the cream. Put the froth on the top of each glass. Danish pudding. 3/4 cup pearl tapioca, 1 1/2 pints boiling water, 1/4 cup sugar, 1/2 cup currant jelly or fresh fruit juice. Soak the tapioca all night. Boil in the water till tender and transparent. Stir frequently. Add the sugar, a little salt, and the jelly or fruit. Stir together till melted. Pour into a dish and set on ice or in a cold place. Serve with cream. Ginger pudding. 1/2 ounce isinglass, 1/2 pint milk, 3 ounces butter, 2 ounces powdered sugar, 4 eggs, 1 lemon, 1 small teaspoon powdered ginger, preserved ginger and syrup. Dissolve the isinglass in a very little hot water. Add to it the milk, butter, sugar, and well beaten yolks. Stir over the fire in a double boiler until it thickens, being careful not to let it boil. Pour into a basin, and when nearly cold but not set, add the powdered ginger, the whites, beaten to a stiff froth, and the juice of a lemon. Mix lightly together and pour into a buttered pudding basin to set. Serve with a little chopped preserved ginger and syrup. Gooseberry fool. 1 pint green gooseberries, 1/2 pound sugar, 1/2 pint cream. Simmer the gooseberries with the sugar in a very little water until tender. Put through a sieve. Whip the cream slightly and beat well with the gooseberry puree. This can be made with any kind of fruit. Lemon soufflé. 4 eggs, 7 ounces powdered sugar, 6 leaves gelatine, over 1/4 of an ounce, 3 lemons, whipped cream. Soak the gelatine for an hour in a little water. Beat the yolks and sugar for 15 minutes. Add the juice of 2 lemons and the grated rind of 1 1/2. Whip the whites to a stiff froth. Stir them lightly in. Take the gelatine out of the cold water. Dissolve it in a very little hot water. When cooled, pour it very gradually into the mixture, which must be beaten all the while. Beat for 5 minutes in a cold place. Pour into a silver or glass dish. When set, and it will set very quickly, cover with sweetened whipped cream flavored with a 1/4 teaspoon vanilla. Garnish with grated pistachios. Marrons à la Célestine. Boil some chestnuts. Peel them and put them through a fine sieve. Stir over the fire for 2 or 3 minutes with sugar to taste and a little cream. Divide into 4 parts. To one add the yolk of an egg, to another a little melted chocolate, to another a few drops of cochineal, and to the fourth a little sage coloring. Mix each well. Whip some cream with the white of an egg and sweeten and flavor with vanilla. Pile it in the center of a dish. Put the differently colored chestnut purees separately through a coarse sieve and arrange lightly around and on the cream. This is equally good and simpler to make if coloring is not used. Pile the sweetened and sifted chestnuts on a dish and cover with whipped cream or garnish with slices of sweetened orange. Meringues. Whip 4 whites of eggs in a little salt until frothy, gradually adding while doing so a breakfast cup of powdered sugar. Beat until perfectly smooth and firm. Cover a board with white paper. Drop the mixture, 1 1/2 tablespoons at a time, in oblong shapes upon the paper. Put the board in a very slack oven. When a crust has been formed, scoop out the soft center of each meringue and turn it over to dry inside. If the meringues do not come off the paper easily, moisten it on the under side. Milk jelly. 1 ounce gelatine, 3/4 cup powdered sugar, 1 3/4 pints milk, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Soak the gelatine in a little of the milk for an hour. Boil the sugar and the rest of the milk together. Add the gelatine. When dissolved, take from the fire. Add the flavoring and strain into a mold. Mousse aux fruits givrés. 1/2 pound sweet almonds, 1/2 teaspoon lemon juice, 3 whites of eggs, 3 ounces powdered sugar, spinach coloring, 1/2 pint whipped cream, sugared fruit. Blanch and pound the almonds with the lemon juice. Put through a fine sieve. Add the whites and sugar, Beat well together. Stir over the fire for 2 or 3 minutes. Take off and color with green coloring. Put the whipped cream in the center of a dish. Put the almond paste through a coarse sieve and arrange it lightly around the cream. Decorate with sugared fruit. Orange Charlotte. 1/2 ounce gelatine, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 pint orange juice, 1 scant cup water, 4 eggs, lady fingers. Soak the gelatine. Boil the juice, water, and sugar. Skim. Beat the yolks thoroughly. Pour the syrup over them slowly, beating hard all the time. Put into a double boiler and stir the mixture till it thickens. Dissolve the gelatine in as little boiling water as possible. Put the mixture in a good sized basin and strain the gelatine into it, beating continually. When cool, but not hard, stir in the whites beaten to a stiff froth and beat all together till it begins to thicken. Then pour the mixture into molds lined with ladies' fingers. This charlotte can be made with the juice of any fruit, tinned or fresh. Pain au fruit. 1 pint of fruit pulp, 1 ounce gelatine, 1 gill cold water, 1 gill hot water. Crush some apricots, strawberries, raspberries, peaches, or pineapples. Sweeten and add a little liqueur and lemon juice, and if liked, blanched and chopped almonds. To each pint of fruit use 1 ounce of gelatine, which has been soaked in 1 gill of cold water and dissolved in 1 gill of hot water. Stir well together until the mixture begins to set. Pour into a china mold. Serve with a rich custard or cream. Pineapple meringue. 1/2 pint cream, 1 cup grated pineapple, 4 tablespoons sugar, 1/2 ounce gelatine, 7 meringue cases. Whip the cream. Dissolve the gelatine in a very little boiling water. Strain it gradually over the cream, whisking it continually while doing so. Stir in the grated pineapple and the sugar. Beat in a cold place until the mixture begins to set. Then arrange the meringues and cream in layers. Garnish with crystallized fruits. Pines on horseback. Stale cake, pineapple, wine or liqueur. Cut the cake, which must be plain, into small rounds. Chop the pineapple and put it in a basin with plenty of sugar to sweeten. Soak the cake in wine or liqueur. Pile the pineapple into little mounds on each piece. To the juice, add a very little wine or liqueur and arrowroot, in the proportion of a teaspoon to half a pint of juice. Cook until thick and clear. Pour over the pineapple and cake. Arrange on a dish, covering each with a little whipped cream. Queen of Puddings. 1 pint of sponge cake, 10 ratafias, 2 ounces sugar, 2 ounces butter, 1/2 rind of a lemon grated, 1 pint of milk, 4 eggs. Crumble the sponge cakes and ratafias finely. Pour the milk over them. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Add the yolks and beat again. Mix well with the sponge cake. Beat the whites till frothy and stir them in. When thoroughly mixed, turn into a buttered pudding dish. Bake half an hour. When cold, turn out. Spread with a layer of jam and cover with whipped cream. Spanish cream. 1 pint milk, 1/2 ounce gelatine, 1/2 cup sugar, 3 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Soak the gelatine in the milk for 2 hours. Beat up the eggs till very light. Add the sugar and beat again. Bring the milk and gelatine to the boil. Pour over the eggs and sugar, strain, put on the fire in a double boiler and stir till thick, but do not allow it to boil. Add the vanilla and pour into a wet mold. Strawberry sponge. 1 quart strawberries, powdered sugar, 4 whites of eggs, 1/2 pint boiling water, 1 ounce isinglass. Mash the strawberries with sufficient sugar to sweeten and set them aside for about an hour. Boil the water and 2 ounces of sugar for 20 minutes. Add the gelatine, which has been soaked for an hour in a little cold water. Remove from the fire and strain. Put the strawberries through a fine sieve. Add the syrup gradually, beating hard for 5 minutes. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Add them to the strawberries and beat till the mixture begins to set. Put into a wet mold. Serve with whipped cream. King's Soufflé. 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 3 small lemons, 3 eggs, 1/2 pint whipped cream, 3/4 ounce gelatine, 1/2 gill water. Beat the yolks of the eggs, add to them the sugar, the juice of the 3 lemons, and grated rind of 2. Pour into a double boiler and whisk continually until the mixture thickens. Do not let it boil. Strain and set aside to cool. Melt the gelatine in the water and add it to the cold egg mixture. Add the cream and the whites whipped to a stiff froth. Whip lightly together, and when beginning to set, pour into a mold. Garnish with crystallized violets or rose leaves. End of section 15.
Section 16 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org, read by Stacey M. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Pastry. General directions. In making pastry, the colder the hands of the maker, the water, and the room, the better. A marble slab is the best thing on which to make it. Otherwise, a hardboard which is kept for pastry only should be used. Use iced water for mixing when possible. Pastry will be flakier if set on ice before it is finally rolled out for use. The flour used should be very dry and should be sifted with a little salt. Use the best flour only, and fresh butter or half butter, half lard. Use as little water as possible. Never knead pastry. Use the hands as little as possible. Mix with a knife unless otherwise specified. Bake in a moderate or quick oven. Baking powder, in the proportion of 1 teaspoon to each quart of flour, may be added when eggs are not used. The baking powder should be sifted twice with the flour before mixing. It is better to bake pastry separately from the fruit when possible. It will thus be much crisper. To do this, fill the dish which is to be used with stiff crumpled paper, over which a smooth and well-buttered piece should be laid. Cover with the pastry and bake. Remove the pastry and fill the dish with well-sweetened stewed fruit. Moisten the edges of the dish with white of egg and replace the crust. In making open tarts and tartlets, when the tin is lined with pastry, it can be filled with rice and baked. This is in order to keep the crust crisp. The rice must be taken out and the fruit or jam put in its place just before serving. Plain pastry 1. 12 ounces flour, 3 ounces butter, 3 ounces lard, salt. Cut up the lard and butter very finely in the flour. With a knife, mix with a little water. Roll and fold up 3 or 4 times. Plain pastry 2. 1 pound flour, ½ pound butter, cold water. Rub the butter into the flour. Add cold water gradually to make a stiff paste. Mixing with a knife, roll out quickly. Plain pastry crust 3 for tarts. 4 ounces butter, 2 ounces lard, 10 ounces flour. Beat the butter to a cream. Rub butter and lard very carefully into the flour, adding a little salt. Mix with as little water as possible. Puff pastry. 1 pound fresh butter, 1 pound dry sifted flour, salt. Work the flour well with a little water into a still dough. Flour the pastry board slightly. Roll out the dough until 1 inch thick. Flatten the butter and put in the center of the dough. Fold the edges up over the butter and roll out very lightly 5 times, always rolling outwards, and using as little flour as possible on the board. The butter must on no account be allowed to work through the paste. Set aside in a cold place or on ice for at least an hour. When making tarts, cut off a piece at a time instead of using the whole quantity, and roll out very lightly. Bake in a rather hot oven. This is a simple and excellent receipt. Rich crust 4. 10 ounces flour, 8 ounces butter, juice of a lemon. Rub 2 ounces of the butter into the flour. Mix with the lemon juice and a little water. Divide the rest of the butter into 3 parts. Roll out the paste ½ an inch thick. Cut 1 lot of butter into small pieces and dab them on the paste. Fold it over 3 times lengthwise, and then 3 times the other way. Roll out again. Repeat the process twice when the butter will be used up. This receipt may be made with baking powder. See general directions. Short crust 5 for tartlets. 1 pound flour, 3/4 pound butter, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, yolks of 3 eggs, water, salt. Rub the butter into the flour and sugar. Beat the yolks with a little water. Stir into the flour with a knife until smooth. Biscuit paste 6 for open tarts and tartlets. 1 pound flour, 1/4 pound sugar, 6 yolks, milk. Sift the flour and sugar together. Stir in the eggs with a knife. Make into a stiff paste with some milk, about 1 gill. End of section 16. Section 17 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org, read by Stacey M. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Open Tarts and Tartlets. Almond Tartlets 1. 1/4 pound sweet almonds, 5 ounces powdered sugar, 10 drops vanilla, 6 whites of eggs, a few drops of lemon juice. Blanch and pound the almonds with the lemon juice. Add the sugar. Whip the whites to a stiff froth. Stir in the almonds, sugar, and vanilla. Bake in a moderate oven in patty pans lined with puff pastry. Almond Tartlets 2. 5 ounces potato flour, 8 yolks, 3 whites, 2½ ounces butter, 2 lemons, 2½ ounces sweet almonds, 1/4 ounce bitter almonds. Blanch and pound the almonds. Melt the butter. Grate the rind of the lemons. Beat the yolks. Mix all thoroughly together except the whites. Beat them to a froth and stir them in last. Line 2 round tins with short crust. See page 127. Spread it with apricot jam and pour the almond mixture over it. Bake in a slow oven. Chocolate cream tartlets. 1 pint milk, 1½ ounces grated chocolate, 1½ ounces flour, 1/4 pound powdered sugar, 1 ounce butter, 4 eggs. Boil the chocolate and milk together. Stir in the flour mixed smooth in a little cold milk. Stir until it thickens. Strain. Pour over the well-beaten yolks. Add the sugar and butter. Stir over the fire until just below boiling point. Line small tins with a short crust. Fill with the cream and bake. Make a meringue of 2 whites and 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. See page 4. Put in the oven to brown slightly. Cream tartlets. 1 pint cream, 1/2 pint milk, 2 ounces powdered sugar, peel of 1 lemon, 8 yolks. Put the cream and milk into a saucepan. When they boil, add the sugar, the very finely pared lemon peel, and a little salt. Stir for a few moments. Pour the cream over the well-beaten yolks. Set back on the fire. When thick, strain into a basin. Set aside in a cool place till wanted. Line some small tins with puff paste. Fill with uncooked rice. Bake. Take out the rice and fill with custard. Sprinkle with lemon sugar. See page 164. Cream and fruit tartlets. For cream, 1 teacup cream or milk, 2 whites of eggs, 1 tablespoon powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon corn flour. Line a dish with short crust. Fill it closely with raspberries, strawberries, cherries, or other fruit and sufficient sugar. Cover with crust, but do not press it down round the edges. When baked, lift off the upper crust and fill with cream. Cream. Scald the milk or cream. Add the whites beaten to a stiff froth. The sugar and the corn flour mixed smooth with a little cold milk. Boil 3 minutes, stirring continually. Set aside until quite cold. Fruit tartlets. Stew the fruit until tender, taking care to keep it whole in plenty of water and sugar. Take out the fruit gently with a skimmer when done. Add a few drops of lemon juice to the syrup. Boil it until reduced to a thick syrup. Line several small tins with the short crust, number 4 or 5. Fill with uncooked rice and bake. Take out the rice, arrange the fruit in them, and pour the syrup over. Lemon cheesecakes. 1/4 pound butter, 1 pound loaf sugar, 6 eggs, 3 lemons. Melt the sugar in the lemon juice. Add the butter, eggs, taking out the whites of 2, and the grated rind of 2 lemons. Stir until thick and of the consistency of honey. A few pounded almonds may be added. Line small tins with puff or short pastry. Fill with the mixture and bake. Mincemeat. 2 pounds suet, 3 pounds raisins, 2 pounds sultanas,
2 pounds currants, 1 pound mixed candied peel, 2 pounds moist sugar, 1 dozen sour apples, 4 lemons, grated peel and juice, 2 teaspoons mixed spice, 2 teaspoons ground ginger, 1/4 pound pounded sweet almonds, 2 grated nutmegs, 1/2 pint brandy, 1/2 pint sherry. Mix the sugar, spices, and very finely chopped suet. Chop the fruit and peel as fine as possible. Mix all well together, adding the brandy and wine last. It is best made several weeks before using. Orange tartlets. 7 oranges, 1/2 pint syrup, 1 lemon, puff or short paste. Peel 6 oranges. Scrape off all the white skin with a sharp knife. Divide into sections, removing all the rest of the white and seeds. Drop them very carefully into boiling syrup. See page 151, and let them simmer 3 minutes. Take the pieces out gently and set them on a sieve to drain over a basin. To the syrup, add the juice of an orange and lemon and the juice that drains from the cooked oranges. Reduce it by boiling till very thick. Line some patty pans with short or puff paste. Fill them with uncooked rice and bake quickly. Remove the rice, arrange the oranges on the pastry, and pour the syrup over them just before serving. Strawberry tartlets. 1 pound loaf sugar, 1 gill water, 1 wineglass brandy or sherry. Strawberries. Make a syrup of the sugar and water. Add the brandy or sherry. Reduce until thick. Pour this syrup over a number of fine strawberries. Line some small tins with short crust, number 125. Fill them with uncooked rice and bake in a quick oven. Turn out the rice and fill with the strawberries and syrup. Serve hot. End of section 17.
Section 18 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by T.R. Love. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. American Pies. General Directions. The following American pie recipes are all good. Care, however, must be taken in baking that there is a good bottom heat or the undercrust will be sodden. The pies should be made in shallow tins about 8 to 9 inches in diameter. Puff paste may be used, but No. 2 pastry is very satisfactory. It should be rolled very thin. Where a covering of pastry is used, it should be slit across the center in 3 places about 2 inches long to allow the steam to escape. Apple pie. 1 pound sour apples, 7 ounces brown sugar. Roll out pie crust, No. 2, very thin. Line a tin with it. Pare and core the apples and cut them in thin sections. Arrange them symmetrically on the undercrust. Add the sugar. Cover with a thin overcrust, moistening it with water at the edges and pressing down. Make 3 slits about 2 inches long in the center of the crust to allow the steam to escape. Bake in a moderate oven. Wellington apples should be used if possible. Coconut pie. 1/2 pound grated coconut, 3/4 pound powdered sugar, 6 ounces butter, 5 whites of eggs, 2 tablespoons rose water, 1 gill white wine. Cream the butter and sugar. Beat for 15 minutes with the rose water and wine. Stir in the coconut and then the whites, beaten to a stiff froth, lightly and quickly. Pour into a tin lined with No. 2 pastry or puff pastry. Serve cold, sprinkled with powdered sugar. Custard pie. 3 eggs, 1 tablespoon sifted flour, 3 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 pint scalded milk. Beat the yolks till light and creamy. Sift the sugar and flour together. Add it to the yolks. Add a little salt and the vanilla. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Whip them in. Add the cold scalded milk gradually. Put into a tin lined with puff pastry. Bake 30 minutes. Lemon pie. 1. 2 lemons, 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons flour, 12 ounces powdered sugar, 1 pint water, 1 ounce butter. Grate the rind of the lemons. Pare off with a sharp knife all the white skin. Cut the lemons into very small pieces, removing all skin and pips. Place them in an enameled saucepan. Add the sugar, flour, and 2/3 of the grated rind and the water. When hot, stir in the beaten eggs. Remove from the fire when just below boiling point. Stir in the butter. When cold, pour into a tin lined with thin pastry. Cover with pastry and bake. Lemon Pie 2. 2 lemons, 1 1/2 cups powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon corn flour, 3 eggs, 2 cups of water, butter size of a walnut. Mix the sugar, flour, and grated rind of the lemons thoroughly. Beat the yolks till light and creamy. Add to the sugar and beat well. Stir in the water. Set on the fire in a double boiler. Stir continually. When hot, add the butter. Stir till thick, but do not allow it to boil. When cool, pour it into a rather deep tin lined with No. 2 pastry or puff pastry and bake. Whip the whites to a froth, adding gradually 3 tablespoons powdered sugar. Spread on the pie when cold. Put in the oven to brown a little. Serve cold. Mincemeat. 3/4 pounds meat. 1 pound suet. 2 pounds raisins. 1 pound currants. 4 1/2 pounds chopped apples. 1 pound golden syrup. 2 1/2 pounds brown sugar. 1/2 pound mixed peel. 1/2 tablespoon salt. 1/2 teaspoon white pepper. 1 nutmeg grated. 1/2 teaspoon ground cloves. 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon. 1 bottle sherry. 1/2 pint brandy. Use lean beef. Chop very fine and remove all gristle and fat. Mix all well together, adding the wine and brandy last. Bake as directed for apple pie or in small covered tarts using No. 2 pastry. Add a little lemon juice to the mincemeat each time it is used. Mock mincemeat. 6 toast biscuits, 1/2 pint molasses or syrup, 1/2 pint brown sugar, 1/2 pint cider vinegar, 3/4 pint melted butter, 1/2 pint chopped raisins, 1/2 pint currants, 2 well-beaten eggs, 1 dessertspoon allspice, 1/2 teaspoon grated nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon cloves, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon black pepper, 1 gill brandy. Crush the biscuits. Mix all well together, adding the brandy last of all. Pineapple pie. 1/2 pound grated pineapple, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1/4 pound butter, 1 gill thick cream, 3 eggs. Beat the butter until creamy. Add the sugar and beaten yolks, beating all till very light. Whip the cream. Add it to the grated pineapple. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Stir them lightly in. Mix all together. Bake with the undercrust of puff pastry or short crust. End of section 18.
Section 19 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Ices. General Directions. If a machine is used, and the best should be obtained, it will take about half an hour to freeze a cream or water ice. The cylinder should be set in a pail filled with finely crushed ice and rock salt in the proportion of 1 part of salt to 3 or 4 parts ice. To break the ice, wrap carefully in a flannel and pound it with a hammer or flat iron until it is broken into very small pieces. Pack it solidly round the cylinder in layers of about 3 inches, divided by layers of salt. As it is most important that there should be sufficient salt, it is best to measure both ice and salt accurately with a saucer. The cylinder should be turned slowly for the first 10 minutes, then quickly. When the mixture is frozen, take out the metal beater, scrape the ice from the sides of the cylinder, beat it well, and pack it firmly down. Put on the cover, fix the cylinder down into the pail, and cover with a piece of old felt or carpeting which has been wetted with salt and water. Leave until it is required. Water should not be drawn off from the pail until there is so much that the cylinder begins to float. When it does, draw off the water and add more salt and ice. If the ice is to be put into a mold, beat it well and pack firmly into the mold. Cover closely and pack in ice. Care must be taken in removing the cover of a cylinder or mold that none of the salt mixture falls into the ice. Ices can easily be made without a machine. The cylinder is replaced by a long, round biscuit or coffee tin about 4 inches in diameter. Put the tin in a pail. Pack it round with ice and salt as above. Pour the mixture, which is to be frozen, into the tin and beat it hard for 10 minutes. Put on the lid firmly. Cover it with ice and then cover the whole thing with a thick blanket or piece of carpet. Leave it for an hour. Remove the ice on the lid of the tin, wipe it, and take it off. Scrape off the frozen mixture at the sides and beat very hard again for 10 minutes. Replace the cover, ice, salt, and blanket, and leave for 5 or 6 hours, only looking occasionally to see if the water must be drawn off and more ice and salt added. This, although a lengthy process, is very simple and inexpensive and most successful. For beating, a long wooden spatula, thin at the end and about the size of a carving knife, should be used. It is essential that rock salt and not common salt be used. Snow can be used instead of ice, but it is not quite so good. To take out ice, dip the cylinder quickly in hot water and shake it gently. Scald the tins in which ices are made directly they are emptied and dry in the oven. If cream ices are to be put in molds, it will be found more satisfactory to add to them a little dissolved gelatin in the proportion of 1/2 ounce of gelatin to 2 quarts of cream. Cream ices are excellent served with a hot chocolate, fruit, or wine sauce. The sauce should be served separately. End of section 19, read by BookBard. Section 20 of the Pudding and Pastry book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Cream Ices. Cream Ice 1. 1 quart cream, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon vanilla. Scald the cream. Add the sugar. When it is melted, set aside to cool. Flavor when cold. Freeze. The whites of 3 eggs beaten to a foam, but not stiff, may be added to the cream just before it is put into the freezer. Cream ice 2, frozen custard. 1 quart milk, 6 yolks, 1 1/4 cups powdered sugar, 1 to 2 pints thick cream, 1 to 2 tablespoons vanilla. Make a custard with the milk, sugar, and yolks. Strain and, when cold, add the cream, flavoring, etc. If the larger quantity of cream has been used, add more sugar. Freeze. The custard can be made with cream instead of milk. To these 2 creams, fruit, nuts, pounded macaroons, lemon juice, pounded ginger and rum, and any liqueur can be added. Brown bread cream ice. 1 quart cream, 1 teacup brown breadcrumbs, 1/2 pound sugar. Dry the brown bread and crumble and sift to very fine crumbs. Add them to the cream and sugar. When the sugar has melted, mix well together and freeze. Caramel cream ice. 8 ounces powdered sugar, 6 yolks of eggs, 1 pint milk, 1 pint cream, 1 dessert spoon vanilla. Put the sugar in an iron saucepan with a very little water and leave it until it becomes a rich brown. Let it become cold. Pound it and add the milk and yolks. Stir the mixture in a double boiler until it thickens. Strain, and when cold, add the vanilla and cream. Chestnut cream ice. 6 ounces chestnuts, 10 ounces powdered sugar, 1 1/2 pints cream, yolks of 8 eggs, 1 dessert spoon vanilla, 1/2 pint whipped cream. Boil, peel, and rub through a fine sieve some chestnuts, measuring after they have been sifted. Beat all well together for 10 minutes. Stir over the fire in a double boiler till thick. Strain through a coarsehair sieve. Add another 1/2 pint rich whipped cream. Freeze in a mold. Coffee cream ice. 2 ounces best whole coffee, green or roasted. 4 yolks of eggs, 1 quart cream, 1/2 pound powdered sugar. Mix all together. Put in a double boiler and cook until the mixture thickens but does not boil. Strain through a sieve and freeze. Fruit cream ice. To a cream ice, number 1 or 2, add, when partly frozen, any well-sweetened ripe or tinned fruits cut into small pieces. Beat well together and cover tightly to freeze. Strawberry cream ice. 1/2 pint strawberry juice, 1 quart cream, powdered sugar. Mash a sufficient quantity of strawberries to fill, when put through a sieve, a 1/2 pint measure. Add them to the cream. Add sugar until the mixture is very sweet. When the sugar is melted, freeze. Tutti Frutti. 1 quart cream ice, 1 or 2, 2 tablespoons maraschino, 1/2 pound candied fruit finely chopped. Add the maraschino to the cream. When partly frozen, add the fruit and beat well together. Cover closely. End of chapter 20, read by BookBard. Section 21 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Water ices. Syrup for water ices, etc. 3 pounds loaf sugar, 1 quart water, 1 dessert spoon white of egg. Mix the egg with the water. Add the sugar. Let it melt. Boil and skim until perfectly clear. Set aside to cool. Cherry water ice. 1 pint cherry juice, 1/2 pint water, 1 pint syrup, see above, 1 teaspoon lemon juice. Prepare the juice by pounding the cherries and putting them through a sieve, adding the water gradually whilst doing this so that all the juice may be carried through. Add the syrup and lemon juice. Frozen macédoine of fruit with champagne. Carefully prepare some fruit as for fruit salad, sweetening it well with sugar. Pour over the fruit a bottle of champagne. Leave for 4 hours. Pack in ice for 2 hours. Serve in glasses. Frozen punch. 1 pint lemon juice, 1 pint syrup, 1/2 pint water, 1 gill brandy, 1 gill rum, 5 whites of eggs. Mix the lemon juice, syrup, water, brandy, and rum together. Put in a freezer. When nearly frozen, add the whites beaten to a stiff froth. When well mixed, serve in glasses. Fruit water ice. 1 quart fruit, 1 cup cold water, 2 cups powdered sugar, 3 whites of eggs. Crush the fruit and rub it through a sieve. Add the sugar. Stir until it is dissolved. Add the water and unbeaten whites. Freeze in a freezing machine, turning the mixture until it is frozen. Lemon water ice. 6 lemons, 1/2 pound lump sugar, 1 quart water, 1 pound powdered sugar, whites of 4 eggs. Rub off the peel of the lemons onto lump sugar. Make a syrup with the lump sugar, powdered sugar, and water. Add the juice of the lemons. Strain. When cool, add the whites beaten to a froth and freeze. Maraschino punch. 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1 quart water, 1/2 pint maraschino, 1 lemon, 1 orange. Make a syrup of the sugar and water. When cold, add the maraschino and the juice of the lemon and orange. Strain, freeze. Orange water ice. 1 tablespoon gelatin, 1/2 cup boiling water, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup cold water, 1 pint orange juice. Soak the gelatin. Dissolve it in the boiling water. When dissolved, add the sugar, cold water, and orange juice. Stir till the sugar is dissolved. Strain, freeze. Pineapple water ice. 1 1/4 pounds pineapple, 1/2 pint water, 1 pint prepared syrup, 2 lemons. Grate and mash 1 pound of pineapple, fresh if possible. Add the syrup, the juice of the lemons, and the water. Put through a sieve. Cut the rest of the pineapple into very small pieces. Stir it into the mixture and freeze. Raspberry water ice. 1 pint juice, 1 pint sugar, 1 pint water, juice of 2 lemons, 1 tablespoon gelatin. Follow directions for orange water ice. Strawberry punch. 1 quart strawberries, 2 1/2 cups powdered sugar, 3/4 cups sweet white wine or champagne, 1 1/2 cups water. Put the strawberries in a dish and cover with the sugar. Let them stand for an hour. Put through a hair sieve. Add the wine and water. Put into a freezer. Stir till well mixed, then leave till frozen. End of section 21, read by BookBard.
Section 22 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Iced puddings, mousse, parfait, etc. Caramel mousse. 9 yolks of eggs, 3/4 pound powdered sugar, 1 1/2 pints milk, 1 pint whipped cream. Make a custard, see page 15, of the yolks, milk, and 1/4 pound of sugar. Strain it and set to cool. Stir 1/2 pound sugar over the fire in an iron saucepan until a rich brown. Add a little water and boil it for 3 minutes. Beat the custard over ice for 10 minutes. Add the syrup slowly and whipped cream. Beat well together. Fill a mold with it. Cover with a sheet of paper and a lid. Pack in ice and salt. Leave for an hour. Chestnut mousse. 6 ounces prepared chestnuts, 6 ounces powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1/2 pint whipped cream. Boil, peel, and pound some chestnuts. Put them through a fine sieve. Take 6 ounces of sifted chestnuts and mix with the sugar and vanilla. Beat till smooth. Add the cream and more sugar if required. Pour into a mold. Cover with a lid and seal the joints with a paste of flour and water. Pack in ice and leave for 1 hour. Frozen fruit. 1 tin apricots or peaches. 2 cups powdered sugar. 1 quart water. Cut the fruit in small pieces. Add the sugar and water. When the sugar is dissolved, freeze. 1 pint whipped cream can be added to the fruit when partly frozen. Any tinned or fresh fruit can be used. Apricots, peaches, pineapple, and strawberries are best. Nisselrode pudding. 40 chestnuts, 4 yolks, 1/2 cup powdered sugar, 1 pint milk, 1/2 pint cream, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1/4 pound shredded candied pineapple, 1/2 teacup maraschino. Make a custard of the yolks, milk, and sugar, see page 15. Boil, peel, pound, and put through a fine sieve the chestnuts. Mix with the cold custard and vanilla and put in the freezer. When nearly firm, add the fruit, cream, and maraschino. This may be omitted. Beat well together and leave until frozen. Garnish with angelica and candied cherries. Parfait. Chocolate. 1 pint milk. 10 yolks. 1/2 pound powdered sugar. 1/4 pound chocolate. 1 dessertspoon vanilla. 1/2 pint cream. Make a custard of the milk, yolks, and sugar, see page 15. Melt the chocolate with a very little water. Add it to the custard. Put through a fine sieve. Stir over ice till cold. Add the whipped cream and beat well together. Pack in ice and leave 2 hours. Parfait coffee. 1 pint cream, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 cup strong, clear coffee. Mix together, whip on ice, take off the froth and put into a freezer or mold. Do not touch it. Leave for 2 hours. Strawberry cream. 1/2 pound sugar, 1 pint water, 1 quart strawberries, 1/2 pint whipped cream. Boil the sugar and water for half an hour. Add the strawberries. Simmer gently for quarter of an hour. Take off the fire and cool. When cold, put in a freezer and stir occasionally till frozen. When frozen, stir in the cream, which can be slightly sweetened. Strawberry mousse. 1 pound strawberries, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1½ pints cream. Crush the strawberries and put them through a fine hair sieve. Put in an enameled saucepan with a little sugar and stir continually over the fire till well mixed. Pour into a basin and set it on ice, stirring until it is cold. Whip the cream with the rest of the sugar. Mix with the fruit. Line a mold with paper, fill it, cover it with a round of paper and a lid, which should be sealed with a paste made of flour and water. Pack in ice and leave for an hour. Vanilla and chocolate soufflé. 16 yolks of eggs, 1 cup syrup, 1 cup water, 1 dessertspoon vanilla, 1 pint whipped cream, chocolate. Beat the yolks, syrup, see page 151, and water together thoroughly. Pass through a fine sieve. Put into a double boiler. Stir until thick, but do not let it boil. Warm a bowl. Pour the custard into it, add the vanilla. Beat for 5 minutes. Stir in the whipped cream and pour into a large mold. Pack in ice and leave for 2 hours. Uncover the mold and pour onto it a cup of cold melted chocolate flavored with a little vanilla. Replace the cover and leave another 2 hours. Cream ice enclosed in a hot soufflé. Make a soufflé of the required flavor in a large soufflé dish. Have ready a cream ice frozen stone hard, about 4 inches less in diameter than the soufflé dish. When the soufflé is nearly baked, take it out of the oven, remove the brown top and a little of the soft center. Put in the ice, cover with the soft mixture and the brown cover, and put back into the oven for a few moments. Considerable deftness and great quickness are necessary if this sweet is to be successful. End of section 22. Read by Sandra, near Montreal, 2022.
Section 23 of the Pudding and Pastry Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Wilson. The Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Sugars. Colored sugars. Onto some powdered sugar, drop a few drops of any coloring. Stir well and quickly so that the sugar may be evenly colored. When dry, crush between paper if necessary. Keep in a tin in a dry place. Orange and lemon sugar. 1/2 pound loaf sugar. 3 oranges or lemons. Pare off the yellow rind of oranges, tangerines, or lemons very finely. Let it dry thoroughly. Pound it in a mortar with the sugar. Pass through a fine sieve and keep in a dry place. Or the rind may be rubbed off on lumps of sugar, which must then be dried and very finely crushed. Sugared fruits. White of egg. Powdered sugar. Strawberries, cherries, grapes, red or white currants. Beat the white of an egg till frothy. Dip each fruit into it, and then roll it in powdered sugar. Place on white paper and dry in a very slow oven. End of section 23. End of the Pudding and Pastry Book by Elizabeth Douglas.